I don't think the tackle being there really has anything to do with the game. It's just about a war with himself. And isn't that everybody? Doesn't everybody just boil down to a war with themselves? This is what's so great about Zion Young. He makes us delve deep into philosophy.
Yep. Internal locus of control. Number one trait I'm
Absolutely.
looking for in an edge rusher. Welcome to the Balls Talk Sports NFL podcast. I'm Elson Gratz.
And I'm Victor Ratliff.
And tonight we are bringing you our top 10 edge rushers in the 2026 NFL draft class. Little disclaimer, this episode was supposed to be out, roughly a day earlier. We were trying to record it last night. And what I'm just going to describe as a cataclysmic failure befell us. It's like everything that could go wrong when recording a podcast did go wrong. Didn't even get off the ground. But what matters is that now we are here. This is going to be an especially sweaty episode. I'm coming from getting absolutely ran out of the gym playing pickleball about half an hour ago. But I'm feeling good, feeling ready to go. What about you, Victor?
I'm doing pretty good. We did you got ran out of pickleball. We got ran out of recording an episode yesterday. It was like we were back in the studio with how many things went wrong. But no, okay. Pickleball. Did you guys win a game at least?
No, however, we got a bye. And so,
Right.
we are already playing some of the better players. I mean, I have a feeling that the team that beat us was going to the championship. We made a couple of athletic plays. It wasn't like a total disaster of an effort, but
you proved you belong.
It's fueling me for next year. I can see it now. I can see the little trophy about this big and exactly where it's going to go on my desk when we win the tournament next season.
See, that's how I feel about our flag football team. I actually don't think we've told the story on the podcast of our flag football team from last year. By the way, guys, if you guys are in college and you play intramural sports, you know how serious it is. You know that this is life or death. Like nothing else matters when you're playing. But anyway, we were on the same flag football team last semester. It comes down to a tiebreaker for the playoff spot, and then we need a team to win by less than 12. And then the last play of the game, it looks like they're about to do it. They throw a Hail Mary and complete it to knock us out of the playoff. So safe to say we're coming back with fire in our hearts. All right. We're not going down easy. We're pissed off. We're going to be back. That was one of the most heartbreaking moments in sports history, I think.
If I remember correctly, it was a garbage time Hail Mary, right? It was like to extend their lead.
Exactly. Because it came down to point differential. They had to win by a certain number of points, and they knew that. So they chucked it up. It was like a Stephon Diggs Minneapolis Miracle level bad coverage. Whoever they were playing, those are forever the ops. Like we didn't even get a chance. You know what I mean? It was rough.
You are looking at
next year.
One of the best intramural wideouts, I'm calling it now, and one of the best intramural nose tackles at University of Tulsa.
There you go. Absolutely.
So
listen,
that's our cred for the podcast.
Talk about a gritty locker room, lunch pail guy, first guy in, last guy out, sneaky athletic, just doesn't drop the ball. All of that's pretty true about you as a wide receiver too, Elson, though. I mean, I got to say you're a good wideout.
I'm working on the route running craft. We got steady hands, diamond technique. You got to look it in every time, go to the ground every time.
I think I'd comp you to Carnell Tate. I really would. Generational hands, doesn't drop the football. But you know what? Some of the route running could use a little polish, but it's going to come along. A talent like this, you just got to believe that. The work ethic's there.
Victor, on the other hand, he's doing it all. I mean, at defensive tackle, pop in the hands, just a pocket collapsing bull rush, but then playing tight end, playing center as well. I mean, you can probably play special teams.
I think so. I think obviously I'd be a great gunner. That's my position. You know what? Yeah, I mean, I'm really pulling out the bull rush. It's the only thing that's stopping me is the yellow flags all over the field. I think that's just littering, honestly. I don't know who keeps throwing those. It's getting in my way, though. So
throw them right back.
Yeah.
Return to sender.
I mean, I'm thinking there will be a lot of stupid flag calls this year. Because if you haven't heard, it looks like they're rolling with replacement refs for next year because of the ref strike or something. And
this is a disgrace.
Yeah, I mean, if we get even one ACC ref, NFL media is going insane. We're never going to recover. This is not what, or even an SEC. You remember what happened if LSU South Carolina last year? any of you watch that game, that's going to be happening every game in the NFL. This will be a disaster if they can't get it fixed. Oh boy. But we're not here to talk about NFL referees. We're not here to talk about intramural flag football as much as we could. Talk about it for a very long time. We could show you the plays Elson drew up. We're here to get kinky about versatile number of edging rushers.
Let's do it.
Yes.
Let the
Let's
edging
get kinky.
begin.
Let's let the edging begin. Let's get kinky. Let's talk about some edge rushers. Now, normally we do the format honorable mentions, then top 10. So you want to start with honorable mentions? Because I watched a fair few guys, so I won't say every guy I watched, but there are a couple guys that stood out. Has anybody stood out that didn't quite make your top 10?
I think you should probably go first on honorable mentions because some of the guys that did not make my top 10 are consensus top 10s.
All right. Okay. And yeah, so just let me know if any of these guys are in your top 10, then we'll talk about them. Then I had an affinity for Kieran Crawford, the Auburn edge. Did you watch him?
I did not, unfortunately. I would have loved to get around to him, but it turned into a little bit of a time crunch at the end.
I quite liked him just as an athletic edge rusher, speed off the edge. He's not really going to provide you much else. You know, the ceiling is just really that great DPR kind of jack position, maybe, depending if you want to move him back as a linebacker, because he's got quality technique as a run defender and he's got decent size. I don't see the ceiling super high, but like as a pass rusher, he could be really nice in the league. So I like him quite a bit. And then Romello Height, he did not quite make my top 10. I had a third through fourth on him. Did he make yours?
He did not make my top 10, but what an incredibly fun, unique player.
He is incredible. Yeah, you got it. He's incredibly fun to watch. You know, when you're watching him, you're thinking, yeah. Like when I was watching him fully, I was like, yeah, I think this guy will be like a easy day 2, maybe a 2 through 3 kind of guy. And then you just go through the evaluation and you're like, I don't think he could be there. I don't think he's quite that level of player in the NFL. He's so fun to watch, such an interesting player. I have no idea how he's going to turn out in the league, to be honest. There's a wide range of outcomes. I comped him to Nolan Smith. That's a little bit of a high comp for him, what I think he could be, you know. And Nolan Smith isn't particularly good in the league, but smaller guy, you know, somewhat shorter arms. Can you win with speed and just in that superhuman agility that he has to just fly over 3 gaps in like half a second? It's insane. Such a fun player to watch, and I felt like we should talk about him at least a little bit.
The agility and the lateral explosion are the name of the game with Romello Heights. Unfortunately, everything else is a work in progress at best. He's very raw in terms of his pass rushing bag. This is a guy that's mostly winning off of the dip and rip. He does have a really nice spin move. I don't know if he picked that up from David Bailey or if
He does.
he's been at a couple universities in the past. I think this is his 4th school at Texas Tech. So somewhere along the way, he picked up a fantastic spin move. But outside of that, not a lot to work with. He does go to the power move on occasion, but he's got short arms. Hands do tend to land pretty soft at the NFL level. I think this is a guy you want out there when you're running your NASCAR packages, 3rd and long, just throw shit at the wall, stick him on stunts. He's not going to finish a lot of plays. He's a terrible tackler, but he's going to disrupt guys.
Yep, he's absolutely gonna. He's gonna try. He's got a great mentality, and I think that holds. I don't think he's a 0 in the run game just because of how competitive he is. He just keeps fighting. Yeah, he's gonna get washed on a lot of plays, but like he's got the athleticism to maybe cut off some gaps and penetrate and survive against like smaller tackles. So he's never going to be a consistent rundown guy, but he's not a guy that I think is so utterly terrible at the run defense that you just can't play him on any down on the chance that they run the ball. You know, I think there is at least the very smallest something there, enough to keep me interested. If a team that loves to run, like if a team that loves DPRs or has a specific goal in mind with him, I think you can take him in the 3rd round, right? It depends on your defensive coordinator. It depends on how you want to play him.
Romello Heights, 6'3", 239, 32.25-inch arms. He does not get buried in the run fit like some other guys on this list do. He will compete. I think his actual technique to just sink low and lock out with a long arm technique, even if he doesn't have long arms, it's adequate, and he is going to work hard. So he is not abysmal in the run game. I don't think he's going to be an early downs type of player for you. I don't think he's going to be one of your top 2 edge rushers on 1st down or even like 2nd and short. But yeah, if you need to run him out there in that role, I don't think it's going to be a dumpster fire or anything like that.
100% agree. All right, and then we'll move on to my last honorable mention. A bit of a weird one. It's a guy everybody's profiling as an interior defensive lineman. I've got him as an edge. I've never made an IDL to edge projection before, so forgive me if it's a little weird. If I don't have all of the nooks and crannies figured out, I'd like your help on this. I've got Zane Durant, the Penn State interior defensive lineman. I'm gonna put him at edge. Yeah, I like him. I like him as an edge, man, because I've been thinking about him after the evaluation. I watched him, and for 2 days I couldn't stop thinking about this player. I was watching other guys, like my mind kept coming back to Zane Durant. I was like, he's a really, really talented player because obviously we've talked at length about him. I think we didn't get to put out the interior defensive lineman episode over the summer, but we both watched him. Elite explosiveness for that interior guy, for an interior guy, short air athleticism, like agility is elite. He's got elite bend for the position. Like all of that stuff is incredible. He's got this innate ability to shoot gaps. He's elusive as a run defender and as a pass rusher, and that's something that plays at edge incredibly well. His big issue is that he's like 6'1", 287, right? And that is an issue. And the length is not good either. And that will be another concern at edge because people are longer at tackle. That's the one thing I don't love about this projection. But with Durant, I think all of the things you love about him as an interior defensive lineman, if you can manage to drop 10 pounds off of him, I think you've got a guy who can win around the edge in the NFL. I think he is that quick. I think he's that fast. I think he's that good of an athlete. He ran a 4.75 a 40 at the combine. If you drop 10 pounds, maybe that's a 4.65, and a 4.65 40 with similar burst or even better burst than it would qualify in that like percentile of that burst. If you project the 40 time, is absolutely enough for a big edge to work in the league. You can see the bull rush have its moments, even against big guards, where he's able to get low because he's got great natural leverage. He's able to get into guards' frames and just push them backwards. When he gets low, he's got good strength, but those guards and centers are just so good because they have elite anchors. And in the NFL, they're going to have better anchors. I think you'll see his bull rush work a lot more against tackles who have slightly worse anchors on average than guards will in the league. Another big issue is that he just gets taken out by combo blocks as a run defender. He's awful at it. Against base blocks, I didn't think he was that bad of a run defender. I thought he was able to get out there, shed a little bit, hold his ground. And the thing that I love most about him that I think will translate to the edge is that he's got my favorite motor, drive, tenacity, whatever you want to call it. He's got my favorite of that, of any defensive lineman I've watched. Just always, always, always working towards the quarterback. I think that this could be a guy you play full-time edge. I think this could be a guy you split edge on rundowns, 3-tech on pass downs. He's got a lot of pass rushing instincts. There's still a lot to work on, right? You still need to work on overall technique. I wasn't in love with his hands, wasn't in love with his footwork in all times, right? You still need to work on the run defense. But he's also got a great processor to see things really quickly. I think this is a guy who will work to make the position change. I think this is a guy who profiles better as an edge. I have him as a 4-5 as an edge. I have him as a 3-4. I had him as a 4-5 as an interior defensive lineman. I have him as a 3-4 as an edge. So that is why I think Zane Durant's an edge. We'll see. Maybe I'm extremely stupid. I probably am because I just don't see interior defensive linemen converted to edge that often. But you know what? If you're not taking a couple shots every draft, a couple of crazy shots every draft, what are you doing? Have some fun with it.
His innate physicality and just competitive fire that he plays with is going to be a huge asset on the edge. I look at this player as potentially like a 4-eye on pass rush downs. Yeah. You can play him some at 3-tech if you're looking at like 3rd and long, but I don't think you're insane for putting him on the edge. You watch Zane Durant, and he pops to you. Like, this is a player that is extremely talented. He stands out. It screams NFL player. But then you try and project him at interior, and it's like he's going to be a liability. And certainly in year one, but he doesn't really even have the ideal frame to project as like a 3-down, competent run-stopping interior defensive lineman moving forward. So as paradoxical as it sounds, I could see his ceiling being higher as an edge rusher. He is definitely going to find a role because just his combination of just every phase athleticism. You mentioned the agility, the chase down speed. You really, really notice the bend, like when he's slanting his rushes, his ability to just get low because he is only 6'1" and bend underneath guys, both in the run game and in the pass game. There's a lot to work with there. And he's only 22 years old. He's a 4th-year senior coming out of Penn State, where the coaching there is just be a physical freak. He's checked
Yep.
that box. Now he goes into the NFL, gonna fill out the pass rush moveset a little bit, better run diagnostics. Hopefully, we can put that stuff together. But Zane Duran is an incredibly intriguing prospect.
Definitely. And I tried to find as many edge reps as I could. There weren't many, but I did like what I saw. And I think you just look at him, he looks more like an edge than he does an interior defensive lineman. The frame, he's built low to the ground. He looks like a guy who's going to be able to drive tackles upwards out in open space. I think this is a really interesting move, an interesting idea for a team that's willing to take the risk. Because there is a lot of risk. You can't just change positions and it just works out all of a sudden. It's a difficult thing to do to play one position in the league, to have learned how to do that your entire life and then play up another position, even if it is relatively similar. Really hard thing to do.
I hope you're right about that. And I really think there's a chance that you are, because I think we're seeing more of these really unique style defensive linemen. Like your position is just defensive line,
Yeah.
where in the past, maybe you had your player that was a four eye in some situations and a five tech in others. Now, with all the unique defensive fronts that defensive coordinators are coming up with, you will have guys that are nose tackles on pass rush downs and then five techs on other downs. So, yeah,
Yeah,
intriguing future for Zane Durant.
you got linebackers lining up as zero techs, crazy stuff happening, and it's all in the Big 12. It's ridiculous stuff happening in that conference. But yeah, those are my honorable mentions. You got anybody else you want to shout out?
So my number 15 edge rusher is LT Overton from Alabama. Is he in your top 10?
I didn't watch him.
Okay. So I was not a tremendous LT Overton fan over summer. And a lot of those criticisms and concerns, they translated into this year. So I think Overton is a very good run defender. I think he brings good effort and pretty good savvy in that phase. I think he has a nice bag of block shedding moves, but you just don't really see the same ability as a pass rusher. One thing I pointed out is that I think he had a career 5% pressure to sack conversion ratio.
Mm.
And a lot of the time when pressure to sack ratio gets talked about for edge rushers, what people are saying is, oh, this guy had a very high ratio. He's due for aggression. And the more and more rushers you watch, the more you realize that, yeah, there's variance, but in large part, that's a skill. Your guys that have good pressure to sack ratios tend to be players that are either extremely athletic, so they're winning early and just clocking the QB from the blind side, or they are the very technically sound guys that know how to transition off of blocks and consistently wrap up and finish plays. And my concern with Overton is that he was just kind of a low powered mover. And so he would drive offensive tackles back, but then the QB kind of just moves the other direction. And so you're relying on cleanup production in large part, or the pocket gets compressed a little bit, but the QB just has to operate from a slightly awkward platform and then he gets rid of the football. It was more of the same this season. He actually did bolster his pressure to sack ratio. He's up to 10% on the career now, which is still very poor, but not quite as abysmal as 5%. But overall, the concerns were still there. I don't really see the athleticism to consistently play on the edge in the NFL. His moveset is pretty commendable, but he's just not explosive enough in the upper half or the lower half to consistently win those reps. So I think this is a guy that will play some interior, kind of similar to Zane Durant, I guess, but not as freaky of an athlete, where on early downs, you're going to want him to be an edge setter, and then potentially you can kick him inside for pass rush downs because his best flashes are absolutely against interior offensive linemen. This was a little bit of a down season for him. His PFF grade fell off, his pass rush win rate fell off. The production just was not there, but maybe there's an injury or something. We know that LT Overton is a better player than what he showed this season and could certainly be a legit NFL player, fifth or sixth guy in an overall defensive line, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And I think from what I remember of him from summer, it looks like nothing much changed. But I think when I watched him over summer, there was the big question. It's like, yeah, it looks flashy and it kind of looks like he's winning, but then you look at his wins and they're not actually doing anything. Like you said, the quarterback, yeah, he got a pressure, but the quarterback just took 2 steps to the left and then it ended, you know? So what is that actually providing to the team? I don't know. There's a difference between empty pressures and real pressures. And I also think, he's kind of the case study for, well, not a case study, but he's an example of what I think is, you have to be able to project a guy to the league. Where does he play in the league? How does he work in the league? NLT Overton, he looks nice in college. He has some nice numbers to back it up, especially last year, but it just doesn't seem like he's going to be that effective in the league unless he can really transform that technique. If he can get a lot better there, then you've really got something.
All right. And then my number 14 edge rusher was Joshua Josephs from Tennessee.
Yeah, I got to him as well. Oof. Yeah, he was my number 13.
Okay, so an honorable mention for you as well.
Yeah.
I assume we see him pretty similarly. He is just pure athletic traits, not a ton of college pressure production. I mean, he's listed at 242, or that was his combine weight, 34 and I believe 3/8 inch arms. So good first step. The traits are there to work with. It's just he does not have a pass rushing move set. Doesn't deploy the limited moves that he does have very well. He doesn't really project as a run defender.
Yeah, I mean, it's just athleticism and length, and technically it's there, but we've kind of had the same scouting report on him for the last 2 years, and I'm a lot more hesitant to project things like that when you didn't improve in college as much as we wanted you to. What makes me think that you're going to improve in the NFL?
Yep, dart throw type of prospect.
Definitely.
And then the other guys that didn't make my top 10 were Malachi Lawrence and Cassius Howell.
Yeah, both of them
probably
are my
talk
top
about
10.
later.
Yeah, definitely. All right, are we good to go for top 10s?
I believe so.
All right, we'll start off with 10 through 7s as we always do. I can go first, I guess. My number 10 is TJ Parker out of Clemson. My number 9 is Malachi Lawrence out of UCF. My number 8 is Zion Young out of Missouri. And my number 7 is R. Mason Thomas out of Oklahoma.
Okay, so we have a little bit of overlap there. My number 10 is Gabe Akis from Illinois. My number 9 is Keldrick Falk out of Auburn. At 8, I've got R. Mason Thomas. And then at 7, I have Denai Dennis Sutton from Penn State.
All right, great. Okay, so you said Lawrence and was out of your top 10, right?
Yes, he is at 12 for me.
And Howell's out of your top 10 as well. So are Parker and Young both in your top 6?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Great. So who do we have that are both in both of our top 10s? Because I did watch Denai Dennis Sutton, and he is number 14 for me.
Okay. Should I talk about Denai Dennis Sutton then?
Yeah. Let me start with that.
All right, so Dennis Sutton is probably the player in this edge class that I just can't quite quit. And I'm very wary of these type of prospects because I want to be right about this stuff. I don't want to be a vibes scout. But I really think that a lot of what Denai Dennis Sutton does is projectable to the next level because he is just a sledgehammer. Like, that's my comp for him. He is out to run you over. He is tough as shit in run defense. I think he's a good block shedder as well. Just don't have a lot of complaints about his run defense overall. And as a pass rusher, he is pretty raw, and you definitely have the pad level concerns. I assume that's pretty well documented at this point because he is a tall, high cut kind of player, and you watch a couple reps on him, and it immediately sticks out to you. Dennis Sutton is not going to be one of these aforementioned high pressure to sack ratio kind of players at the next level. He is going to bull rush. He is going to rip through, and he to impact the quarterback that way. He's not going to be a 10 sack a year kind of player. But I think that his power is going to translate to the next level. He is extremely forceful. And that's really where the production is going to have to come because his pass rushing moveset is extremely limited. I mean, he's pretty much going outside rip, bull rush, and then he does flash a spin move as well. But what makes Dennis Sutton so endearing to me is the energy that he plays with down in, down out. His motor is extremely high. He's just a chaos creator. Like, you watch the Penn State defense, and Dennis Sutton will have at least one play a game that just makes you go, wow, I would not want to be on the receiving end of that. Like, you didn't make the tackle for loss, or you didn't get the sack, but you were the one who was responsible for killing that play. I think this is a guy who's really good against action jump sets, which is sort of one change I made in my evaluation process this season. Like, pressures on play action aren't usually very sexy, but you know what? NFL teams are running more and more play action. And
Yep.
so these big, heavy handed types that can wrench through blocks or run guys over to impact the QB and force a throw out of bounds or a throw into the dirt, I think there's value. And I think that checks out because Denai Dennis Sutton is going to be playing on early downs. And then I know this is a small thing. He blocked 2 punts this year. Like, this guy just
Value.
does jobs in every phase. So I do think that his upside is very limited, but I think he's a good athlete for his size as well. He's just going to go out there. He's going to be powerful. He's going to be aggressive. He's going to be disruptive. He's going to get his hands up and bat passes. I'm not looking at him as a future number one or anything of the sort, but day two, I think I'd be pretty happy picking up Denied in the Sun.
Yeah, I mean, I think we see him somewhat similarly. I have a fourth or a fifth on him, so it's not like we're incredibly far off, right? I think I'm just a little bit lower in his power than you are, honestly, and maybe his athleticism. He's a fine enough athlete. He's got decent acceleration. Bend wasn't all there, I thought. And yeah, overall agility, he just struggles to drop the hips and make those kinds of plays. And as a bull rusher, yeah, he had some nice plays, and I think he's a relatively consistent bull rusher, and he'll always get a little bit of push, but I think he really faltered against the best tackles. You know, when he played Iowa, Indiana, Ohio State, that 3-game stretch, because I watched 5 games of the Penn State defense, that 3-game stretch really bothered me in the sense that, yeah, him against Michigan State was incredible. He was just moving guys with the bull rush, but then against guys with better anchors, he was just really struggling to get as much pressure. It was still happening. It just wasn't happening as much. I think that's more of what you get from him in the league. I think he profiles as a really high quality number 3 edge. Again, like you said, tough as nails. He's going to be a great run defender. He's got a great frame, so he's going to be big. He's really long. He's going to be able to get out there. Another thing I love about him that you didn't mention, for a guy 6'5", 250, 260, whatever, he's like a really good coverage defender. He can drop back and just play a quarter flat, or he can do a hook, whatever you want him to do. He can do it, and he looks comfortable. He's nice. He's the highest grade I gave any coverage defender above like 250 pounds. So he's impressive in that aspect as well. But I just think his ceiling isn't there. And overall, it just kind of looks like in the pass rush, it's not very polished, but there's also just not a lot of feel there. There are guys like Zane Durant. It's not very polished, but like if there's an opportunity, generally he's going to find his way to the opportunity. He gravitates to the open space in the rush. He gravitates to the win condition and the rush. With the Nida Sutton, it felt like he was turning the wrong way. If he went with a spin, he did the wrong one, or he just did the wrong move too many times. It's a small thing, but it really does impact it. You know, that kind of feel for where you're supposed to win. I don't think it's all there. But a lot of credit to him. I've also heard he's a great leader in the locker room. So I think he'll be a player, stick around in the league. I feel not the exact same player, but I feel very similarly how I felt to him, how I felt about Barron Sorrell last year out of Texas. Guy who's going to be in the league for a long time, going to be a fantastic depth piece. Maybe never a great starter, but guy you want to have on your team.
Dennis Sutton's Senior Bowl kind of broke my heart because I thought he was pretty definitively the worst pass rushing edge there. But I think he's kind of an exception in one regard, because if I was going to pick one player in this class who I expect to look worse in one-on-ones than just like actually putting on pads and being on the football field, like somehow winning a smaller share of the reps, it would be Denied in a Sutton. So certainly ceiling concerns, but I think a high floor type of player.
Yeah, definitely. All right, where do we want to go next? We want to talk about, I guess, Malachi Lawrence.
That's what I was thinking.
What do you have on him?
I have a 4th rounder on him as sort of a developmental low-end boomer bust type of prospect.
Okay, I have a true 2, so it looks like we have a very, very different, because from 10 to 6, all of my grades are true 2s. It's a dense second round. If you need an edge rusher, second round's full of them. But Lawrence was a guy that I was expecting a very different player. I think you kind of look at well, first of all, I think it's important to note that, again, UCF is incredibly weird because they're in the Big 12. So Lawrence is like 250 pounds and he's playing 2-tech a lot of the time. He's playing 3-tech. He's playing 4-eye. Like a lot of the time he's doing that. And what's crazy is he's a better run defender as a 3-tech than he is as an edge for some reason. I don't know why, but he's able to just get low. He's able to drop the knee sometimes. He's able to split block. He's still not great because he's really small, but I don't know how he does it. He survives against double teams better than a tackle on the edge. I don't know what's wrong with this guy, but he just wants it more. But I think he's a good NFL athlete. I think he gets off the line really quickly. He's got quality bend, not elite, but it's good enough around the edge to dip the shoulder. Agility's nice. Like, really no concerns as an athlete. Like, I don't think any of it's quite elite. And I think probably where the difference is going to come is you called him boom or bust. I do think he's got a pretty nice floor. I liked him a lot as a technician. I thought he was really like I thought he was really instinctive when the tackle's arm came out. He was right there to chop it down. Didn't get fooled by baits that often. His hands were just really, really well timed. He had some of my favorite hands in this class. Right, they were very accurate. He was using them in correlation with his movement. Right, when you're doing the cross chop like he loves to do, your hand and your body have to move at the exact same time in harmony, and he does that really well. I think he's a massive rush plan, right? He switches from one thing to the other to the other to the other really quickly. Like I was talking just right now with the 9S Sutton, I think he gets to that win condition really well. He knows how to win, and he's going to get to there. Actually, where I'm lower on him than most people is his athleticism. I don't think he's the superstar athlete. I think he's just pretty good. But I think that technique will show up in the league, right? I think he's got flashes of a good bull rush, right? If like once he gets that acceleration going, because he's a bit of a lumber, like first step is a little bit of a lumber. So if you're coming as a 6 tech, right, and you have to immediately get power in your hands, that's not his game. But you put him as a wide 9, he gets a runway, threaten the edge, and then bam, hit you right in the chest, speed to power. There were flashes there. I really, really liked. And another thing with him, he tested extremely well, right? So maybe he's better of an athlete than I thought. But why do I have a true 2 on him? Looks like a pretty good technically sound pass rusher. I just don't think he's all that as a run defender, right? He needs to add mass if he wants to survive on the edge, but he can do it on the interior, but I just can't project that to the NFL. I'm sorry, I just can't do it because also the Big 12 is not the best interior lineman in the league either. But he needs to add mass, but he probably can't because that will take away from his speed. That's going to take away from his athleticism, his main trait. And if that gets any worse, I think that severely lowers his ceiling. It's kind of, you're kind of taking a guy you know is never going to be that high of a ceiling as a run defender. Also, if you're going to be mostly a pass rusher, you need to be good at finesse and power if you're going to take somebody really high, which he's in the top 50 of the consensus board right now. I think he's top 40 maybe now. And the power rush was the bull rush, the long arm was not consistent enough there. And again, I'm having this concern with a lot of Big 12 edges is they did not see a lot of competition, a lot of great tackles this year. So I struggled to project him to the NFL compared to SEC guys who see, like, if you have a length issue, like Cassius Howell did, and we'll talk about him a little bit later, he's going to go against Texas. He's going to go against 34.5-inch arm Trevor Gooseby, and maybe that'll expose your issue. You don't see that as much in the Big 12, right? So again, I think this is a guy you're going to get quite a bit of pass rushing production out of in the league. I think he'll be like a 6 to 8 sack guy in the league probably. He can improve as a run defender. I think it's there. I don't think you really want to bet on it, but I like his technique. I like his effort. I like his feel for the position. I like most of him as a pass rusher. If you can develop that power move, then we're talking about like a 10 to 12 sack guy a year. And that's where I get really excited. That's Malachi Lawrence out of UCF. Please disprove all of what I just said.
No, I think that there are a lot of similarities in how we are evaluating him. I question whether or not he is physically maxed out. 6'4", 253, already has a lot of muscle on that frame, fifth-year senior, so he's had time to fill out that frame, and it's the lack of a power profile that does it for me.
That's fair.
And in theory, 253 pounds and 33 and 5/8-inch arm length, which is pretty solid, it should be there, but I really did not see pop in the hands. I did not see ability to displace the offensive tackle and then sustain it with leg drive or knock guys off balance and then work around them. I agree as far as his strike accuracy and just his hands being some of the best in the class, but then we concur on the athleticism as well. One thing I noted is there just are not a lot of A-move wins on his tape. He really wins by countering and countering very quickly, spinning off of guys, ripping off of guys, swimming off of guys. And I'm not really sure why that is because his pass rush arsenal is not bad, but it's just a lot of second effort. And I'm very wary of taking second effort style pass rushers super early in the draft because I think that can only get you so far in the NFL. The reason I also do think Lawrence has a respectable floor as a middle of the road to even like above average number three edge rusher. And again, like as his absolute floor, he's just a QB magnet. Like
Yeah.
his ability to get eyes on the quarterback in the pocket and then contain him and just fly to the football because he does have very good chase down speed. I think is excellent, and I might even be higher on his bend than you are. I think that he has probably top 3 to 4 bend in this class. I see it as a major strength. So it's really the run defense and lack of a power profile that makes me lower on Malachi Lawrence. I question whether or not he can ever be a consistent 3 down, high quality pressure getter for you. And part of that is that he is a 5th year senior. So he has had more time to develop.
Yeah.
If he was, say, a 3rd year junior who was declaring early for the draft, this could be like a 1 to a 2 on my board. So it's about development track for me, and certainly a player who I think is going to be around in the NFL for a long time.
Definitely. It seems like the difference here is that I'm getting suckered in by the few reps I saw that power rush. I saw him pull off a beautiful long arm. I saw him lift a tackle off of their feet. And that got me. So, all right. That was Malachi Lawrence, the UCF edge. I don't think we have anybody else to talk about. R. Mason Thomas was not in your.
We did it, Thomas. Oh, he was. He is at number 8 for me.
He's number 8. All right, great. So, do you want to lead him off?
Sure. So R. Mason Thomas is another one of these prospects that is incredibly fun to watch because I think he has probably the uncontested best get off, just first step explosiveness in this class.
Not uncontested, but
who do you
I agree it's the best. Bailey.
Okay, I'm still taking R. Mason Thomas in a heartbeat.
I am too.
There.
I am too, not in a heartbeat.
Exploding off the edge. Okay,
I got to think about it for a second. I got to think about it. Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's really where strength stop with him. He runs to the outside shoulder and he is pretty bendy. He dips low and sometimes he absolutely decks the QB. He also does flash a pretty forceful speed to power bull rush at times. Those are his 2 pass rush moves. I think I saw him pull off 1 spin. It was beautiful. And 1 inside scissors type move. It was very nice. Over the last 2 seasons of tape at Oklahoma. And you know what, Victor? I just can't bet on
That's fair.
Because no matter how dominant your first step explosiveness is, eventually NFL tackles are going to catch on. You do not have an inside counter. You don't really have any inside or any counter moves at all. He has 31 and 5/8 inch arms, so that is going to decrease his margin for error. He's a splashy run defender. He is not a consistent run defender, and he's not a good play finisher. So explosiveness and chase down speed is the name of the game for Mason Thomas. It's going to get you somewhere. It's an elite trait, but I feel if he was going to develop as a technical pass rusher, we would have seen some flashes by now. And that is why he went from like, oh, this guy is Nick Bonito, I think, over summer to, okay, this guy is a role player in the NFL in the span of 1 season. Just I had to see something. I did not see it this year from R. Mason Thomas.
I think that's the disconnect here. What do you have as a grade on him?
I have 2 to a 3.
I have a true 2. So, I mean, we're not that different. But I think that's the disconnect is that I actually did see improvement this year, technically as a pass rusher. And that is what's getting me excited about him. I think it's a lot of simple moves, really. But it's when last year, when you watched him, he's just gets off the line. He's just going to try for the bend. He doesn't even use his hands. He's just going to try to dip around and see what can happen. This year, he's chopping the arm. If it's there, he's going to chop it with decent accuracy and decent timing. Like, he's using his hands, right? He's using them a little bit more. The speed to power, like you said, I thought it really popped this year a lot more. It's still not great. It's fairly inconsistent, but he's got great natural leverage. 6'2", he can get really low to the ground and kind of take guys off of their legs. That chop's nice. And he really added this counter where he goes with the bull and then he goes arm under, right? He goes the bull into the rib, bull slip, like I like to call it. I don't know actually what it's called. Everybody calls it a different thing, but he's added that, and that's a nice little thing. You know, the dip and rip is always solid with him around the edge. Like, he's, for a smaller guy, he's pretty decent at dealing with contact at the top of the edge. He's pretty good at cornering through it. It's not great, but and long arm guys will definitely be able to get a hand on him and keep him at a distance on the edge. And I think that's where he might struggle. But I really think that I see it here. I see the technique improving. I see the bull rush improving. I see the ceiling. I see him as just a fantastic designated pass rusher, 10 to 12 sack guy in the league at his ceiling. But again, low percentile height, weight, length. It is rare that guys like this work out. Even there have been a lot of guys who have come into the league, not a lot, but there have been a few guys come into the league. Thomas's skill set, that elite acceleration, elite get off, elite bend, just elite athlete all around, just can't put it together because they're short, they're light, and they're not that long. And while I do think I don't think he's a zero in the run game, right? Again, he's athletic, but I also thought he was able to get really low and he was able to anchor decently well. Like it wasn't that bad. Even against like Alabama, I thought he survived, right? And that was a big test for him, for me, was can you survive in the run defense against Alabama? And he survived. He wasn't great, but he survived. He's a somewhat smart player too, so he can see that. I think you need to develop the counters. Just need to develop more technical skill. This is not a guy who's going to come in day one. He's going to be the 10 12 sack guy, and year 3, maybe he can be. We're just going to have to see. Another thing you got to watch, he's smaller. He's got injured in 3 out of 4 years. That's another really concerning thing, another thing to watch with him. But I'm willing to bet on the upside in the second round, but I'm not willing to do it in the first round.
Your commentary on him does get me a little excited because even though I personally did not see the technical improvement, I did notice that he seems to have this overall athletic football acuity to him. It's like he's instinctive and I think he's coordinated. He gets how you're supposed to win. I don't see any of the finished product.
I get you. Yeah.
But he's not one of these players where you watch him and it's like, man, he does not look comfortable as a football player. I didn't see that at all with our Mason Thomas. So, maybe it's not just smoking the hopium as far as thinking that he could be like a 12 sack a year player in the NFL. Maybe that's still in there somewhere.
Maybe. And the thing that really gets me going with him compared to all the other guys in this list, why he ended up at 7 for me versus 10 over guys like Parker and Young was and Lawrence. All 3 of those guys, I like them, but I just don't see a truly winning trait in the NFL. Thomas, he has it. You have that box checked, 100% sure. And that's something you got to say for an edge. I think if you're going to even consider taking him in the top 40, they've got to have a winning trait in the NFL, or they've just got to be elite at like everything. And we might talk about a guy who comes pretty close to being elite at everything later on, but maybe lacks a winning trait. But that's what really got me higher on Thomas. That was the tiebreaker for these guys, was Thomas has that winning trait, that speed, that bend, doesn't come around often. It will win in the NFL. It's not just elite in college. It is elite NFL athleticism. He didn't test with it, though. Like, he tested so poorly.
And that's just baffling.
It's so weird. Like, you'd give me Malachi Lawrence and R. Mason Thomas combine numbers, I'd swap them and be like, yeah, that makes perfect sense for both of them. I guess not.
He did post. Nope, I'm looking at Denai Dennis Sutton. Yeah, he only did the 40, right? He didn't do any of the agility stuff. He didn't do any of the explosiveness stuff.
Nobody does the agility. I feel like he'd kill at the agility. That's your way to separate. I don't know, man. It's weird.
Denai Dennis Sutton did.
Yeah. You know what? I respect the hell out of that. I bet he didn't do well, but
no, he did not.
I respect the hell out of that. You know, that's good for him, man. But I think guys like that, Thomas, it's evident on the tape. I don't need to show you with the combine because you've seen it, right? I'm confident.
It literally is not doubtable. Like
100%.
I try and not lean on the 40-yard dash too much, but if it's like, okay, I think your speed is somewhere around average, and then you come out with like an 85th percentile 40 time, I'm going to shade that speed grade up a little bit because it can be really tough to gauge speed. With our Mason Thomas, it's just like, there's no doubt. You watch him, he's blowing around everybody's outside shoulder. He is a blur off the edge. That is 100% going to translate.
Definitely. All right, I think those are all the guys 7 through 10 that are not yet to be talked about.
I believe so.
Yeah. All right. So we want to go 4 through 6?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So my 6 is going to be Cassius Howell out of Texas A&M. My 5 is going to be Keldrick Falk out of Auburn. And my number 4 is going to be Gabe Akis out of Illinois.
Okay. My 6 is Zion Young from Mizzou. Then I've got TJ Parker. Then I have Akeem Mesidor And,
Nice.
it's not meant to be a huge slight to Akeem Mesidor. I am just obscenely high on one you did not watch.
Oh shit! I should have watched him. Damn it! Couldn't find the time. All right. Well, I'm excited to hear you talk about him. I won't spoil who it is for the audience, but that's our 4 through 6. Um, where do we? I can start with Cassius Howell. Why don't we do that?
All right, take it away.
All right. So Cassius Howell. Normally, I begin by talking about the great things with the player. You got to just start with Cassius Howell with the arm length, I think, because it's the big topic right now. Everybody's talking about it. 0th percentile arm length. He's the worst arm length in the history of the combine. It's really bad. 30 1/4 inches. That's like, whew, unbelievable numbers. You know, I love most of the rest about him, right? It's not everything, but as a pass rusher, at least, there's not much I don't like. We're talking about great get off. Again, I don't think it's elite, but he just jumps off of the line. The funny thing about watching Cassius Howell is that when you're watching tape, one of the most difficult things about watching tape is actually finding the player on the field, especially because it's sunny on these games and teams are wearing white jerseys and you have no idea where this guy's number is. The sun's blocking. And Cassius Howell, you never have to doubt because he has turned perpendicular to the offensive line for some reason. He is just looking. It's like the dog looking out of the car, right? It's except he's the dog looking out of the car, and his 3 tech is the guy in the car. Man, he's just looking right at him, and then he just jumps off the line sideways, and he beats the tackle of the line every single time. It's really fun, and it makes it for an easy watch. He's got great bend, body control. Like you can have great bend, you can be really good athlete, but if you don't have the ability to control your body to get low and stay balanced, especially through contact, it doesn't matter. I think that was a big critique we both had on Abdul Carter last year coming out of Penn State, and it has kind of showed up in his NFL career so far. I still think he's going to be a really good player, but that is something to note for him. Howell, he's got great body control. There's so much power in those ankles and those feet to hold him up through contact. And we're talking about all of these finesse rushers, which I'll get to his finesse profile in a bit. This is a guy who also has quality power for a 250 or so pound guy. Like his hands are, you know, they're heavy. They hit and they jolt on first contact, and he's got decent leg drive to keep fighting through, so he can translate that get off into quality power. You can't just overset to the outside shoulder because he can hit you, and he can hit you right in the chest, and he can feel confident he can go right through that. As a finesse rusher, he's got a lot of great moves. We're talking about guys who can threaten the edge. They have good moves, they have good technique, but they don't have a counter. Cash Howell is maybe the best counter in the entire class with one of the best moves in the entire class, a spin move that is just downright scary for linemen to see, right? He stabs the ice pick and he turns with force. He's got a really wicked cross chop where his body just jumps, it teleports half a yard to the side, and with really good timing, really good harmony. I really like him as a pass rusher. I think one of my complaints would be, we see all these moves together. Like we see them separately. They're all really good. String them together, man. Like I want to see them together more often, and I want to see them look better when you're transitioning. You just really struggle to transition between moves, and I think that's something to improve. Where I really wanted to give him a first round grade, but I can't. He's a true 2 for me. It's just I don't think he's a fine run defender in the NFL. He's a fine run defender in the SEC. I think he'll be a below average run defender. He'll be playable in the NFL. Just don't really think that it's gonna be enough to feel confident. At least he's your every down starter. He's not going to be your every down run defender. If you absolutely need him, he can definitely do it. He's a really, really powerful guy, as I said, in the hands. He's got a high motor, and he can drop back into coverage. So you can drop back into coverage on rundowns. That's an interesting thing. He can play further out. There's a lot of things you could do with him because he is a very versatile player. But you can't keep ducking around it. He has 30-inch arms, and that is going to hurt you in the league. A lot of people, you don't mind. I'll go on a little bit of a TED talk. I don't know if the person to be giving this TED talk, but I'll give it anyway. A lot of people wonder, why does arm length matter at all? It's the same thing when we were talking about Kenny Pickett's hand size all those years ago. People are like, who cares? It does matter, and arm length matters greatly for offensive tackles, and it matters greatly for edge rushers. I'm guessing everybody watching this video knows why it matters and they know the intricacies, so I'm not going to spend too much time talking about it. But basically, it comes down to who can initiate contact. If you have long arms and the other guy has short arms, you are going to be able to grab onto his pads, his jersey, before he can grab onto yours. And the second that you are being grabbed by another grown man who is 330 pounds large and you don't have arms on him, he will be able to move you wherever he wants to. If you cannot control the encounter, then he's going to, right? So if you have two guys with similar arm lengths, they're going to be able to engage at the same time. It's going to be kind of a force of wills, a force of power. It's an equalizer. But if you've got this guy, let's say Trevor Gooseby, Texas offensive tackle, really long arms. You've got Cassius Howell, really short arms, then you're going to see a difference. Cassius Howell, against a lot of tackles, he is so good at getting off the line, he can dip the shoulder and get around the edge and come away unscathed to the quarterback. However, Trevor Gooseby, he tries that. Gooseby is a long-armed demon. He's going to be able to get a hand on him where most guys can't. So Cassius Howell's plan is all of a sudden taken off course because he's been shoved 2 yards outside by an arm he didn't expect to be there. Gooseby was able to engage with Howell in the Texas game early and often. He was able to control him more often than not. And it was really, really, really concerning for Cassius Howell's NFL evaluation. That was the last game I watched of him. I had a 1 through a 2 on him. At that point in my mind, dropped him down to a true 2. I don't know how he's going to deal with NFL tackles. I don't know how he's going to deal with that arm length. I don't know if he'll be able to win consistently if he's not able to engage, because he's going to be playing guys like Gooseby every single week. All of these starters have really long arms for good reason. We see guys like Campbell come in the league. Doesn't matter how good of a technician you are. If you have 32-inch arms as a tackle, likely thing is you're not going to survive in that position. So can Howell make the most of his athleticism? Can he be such a great technician that when those arms come out, he's immediately got an answer? He's going to chop down immediately. He's going to make the right decision. He's going to make the right counter. He's going to get to the win condition immediately. That is an incredibly high bar, a very low margin for error on any given rep. It is an incredibly difficult thing to do and a tough thing to ask any prospect to do. But I think he's got a shot at doing it. I love the player. I love the athleticism. All this to say, I love the player. I love the athleticism. I love the technique. I love the willpower. I think he's got a better shot than most to overcome this incredible disadvantage, but I can't take that risk in the first round. In the second round, the second round is made for taking risks like that. I'm taking Cassius Howell in the second round. I know that was quite a long time, so I'll give you the floor now.
I love your arm length analysis. There is one thing I want to add, which is also that having long arms gives you longer, more powerful levers. And I think that's very effective in terms of increasing your margin for error. Your technique just does not have to be as, not only because you have to be very careful about guarding your chest and not allowing first contact, and that's more challenging to do with short arms. But for example, one little tiny nuance that I see on tape that oftentimes tells me a lot about how long guys' arms are is, like, compared to your bend, compared to your play strength, how good are you on the rip move? Because one thing I see all the time, guys with long arms, when they go to the rip, they're able to get their arms way out underneath tackles. They're able to use those long levers to push arms up, and the tackle just runs out of surface area to hit, and they fall off, and the corner is turned. Guys with shorter arms, transitioning becomes much harder. The offensive tackle is able to keep those hands locked onto the shoulder pads and just shove you out of the play. And you're not really a threat anymore. And that is one of my key concerns with Cassius Howell at the next level is I already don't think that he's very good playing in corridors. It's like if there's any contact around him, he's either not going to be able to like finish the play or he's going to struggle to make any impact on the play whatsoever. I think he really struggles against double teams. I think he struggles on play action jump sets. When you're playing bigger, stronger athletes at the NFL level, those things like your tape against play action jump sets starts to translate to everything else, because with those short arms, you're going to be playing in a phone booth more consistently. You're going to be losing first contact, like you mentioned, more consistently. That's the last bad thing I want to say about Cassius Howell, because I think he is the best pure pass rusher in this entire class.
Love it.
Yeah, I'll take him over David Bailey just in terms of the technique. And the way that he has maxed out his pass rushing profile, I would tell you that the first three steps of every Cassius Howell rep look the same, like indicating that you don't know whether he's going to a spin, you don't know whether he's going to a swim, you don't know whether he's going to attack the outside shoulder, you don't know whether he's going speed to power. But it's not true that the first few steps of every rep look the same because he is always doing different things with his feet to keep you guessing. He will hit you with the hezzy. He will cross your face. He will stem to the outside and then slam it in on speed to power. And that spin move you mentioned, the technique is excellent, but I think what makes it so special, he can just hit it from any platform in the book. So it doesn't matter whether he's working inside on you. Doesn't matter whether he's down low hitting a ghost move and so he's got to pop out of it. Doesn't matter if he is just full sending to the outside shoulder and he has to slam on the brakes and plant that foot and whip around you. He can just hit it no matter what. It can be an A move. It can be a counter move. His spin move is exceptional. I think even his like block deconstruction in the run game is great. And that is really impressive because shedding blocks when you have short arms is damn near impossible. But he is going after wrists. He is going after elbows, targeting your weak points, and he's going to find a way to get past you. And has ball skills and coverage. Like, I think I would like give his ball skills, if that is a grade. Yes. If I had like a ball skills grade for edge rushers, Cassius Howell would get an A+. He has 4 pass breakups, not batted passes, pass breakups in the last 2 seasons. He's got a pick. He's got 6 batted passes. This dude's head is on a swivel at all times. It's just, I think at the pro level, he might have a little bit of a lethal combo of, I think, only being a solid athlete, the arm length, like you mentioned, I think I'm lower on his power profile as well. But I don't want to take anything away from this guy. The tape that he puts out on the football field, it's teach tape. It is beautiful to watch. And an extent of that is absolutely going to translate. I don't know whether he can be a 3-down player for you, but I hope he's more than the number 3. I think he's going to be more than the number 3. If Cassius Howell is the number 3, he is going to be the ultimate fan favorite. He is going to be the best number 3 edge rusher in the NFL.
This is a guy who's going to get so many big time sacks. Like he might have 4 sacks a year, and all 4 of them are going to come game-winning wild card, game-winning divisional, game-winning conference championship, game-winning Super Bowl sack. Those will be his 4 sacks. Because another thing I noticed about him, in the big moments, he showed up, and like late in games, he just got better. As everybody else got tired, he wanted it more, and that's something you love to see. One more last thing about him is that the big concern with him is this jump in competition. He's already kind of done it. Went from Bowling Green to Texas A&M. The MAC to the SEC is not an easy jump to make, and he made it with flying colors. First year, I mean, he was one of my guys in summer scouting this summer, and then he still stays really good. He's still a great player. He gets better. His second year, he's gotten better every single year of his career. The development track's there. Even he's an older guy, but you've seen him develop. You've seen him do it. You've seen him jump levels. That gives you a lot more encouragement for the idea that he could do it to the NFL. But nothing can replicate the jump to the NFL.
Do you know what that's rooting for Cassius Howell, 30 and a quarter inch arms. Who cares? He's got it.
Who cares? All right. Why don't you take it away on Zion Young or TJ Parker? Your choice.
I can do Zion Young. So Young out of Missouri is a breed of edge rusher that I usually am not higher on than consensus. He is a true 4-3, 3-point stance, 4-point stance type of guy. 6'6", 262 pounds, 33-inch arms, so very average in that phase. Not a guy who's going to win off of athleticism, just not his game. I think he is very stiff, and what really broke my heart with Zion Young and why I like Derek Moore so much, because I think Derek Moore has this trait, is Zion Young to me is a low-powered mover. It's like when he gets off the line of scrimmage, you don't feel threatened. I don't think that he has a ton of hand speed, which I think is a really underrated trait for edge rushers, because if you can strike quickly, go into a stab move or go into a club move or go into an arm over move, not only are you going to recruit more force, but you also just give the offensive tackle less time to react. That being said, those are kind of my issues with Zion Young. I think that his bench press strength his ability to extend the arms and send you flying backwards. I think it's a 1-on-1 in the class. And I
He's
have
so
not
good.
forgotten that Ruben Bain exists. I think that Ruben Bain has the better club move. Ruben Bain is the better head smasher, but Zion Young just pushing a guy back. I'm going to take it, man. He turns offensive tackles into projectiles. And I think he can transition off of the bull rush pretty well. He has some ability to finish plays because he's a weirdly like long strider who accelerates through the rush. It's like he's not a plotter is what I want to get across. He doesn't start reps very well, but he does finish them well. And when he hits a guy, oh boy, do they feel it. And he hits guys a lot. He's a finisher. Like, okay, normally when I talk about an edge rusher being a finisher, I mean they tackle good. Zion Young, I think, he tackles fine. I think he's
Yeah.
disciplined. I'm not worried about that. I'm calling him a finisher in the same way you would call like a nasty offensive guard a finisher. He wants guys on the ground. He is going to make it his mission to get guys on the ground. He has one of my favorite sort of like unique niche traits that only a couple players in the NFL have, Zach Allen being one of them. He is a hit farmer. If he is in the
Yeah,
vicinity
he
of the
is.
quarterback when the ball is coming out, he's not going to be twisting ankles necessarily, but he's going to fall and his arms are going to be around you and you are going to the ground with him.
Yep.
And that is very physically taxing. Doesn't matter if you're the quarterback. It doesn't matter if you're the running back on play action. He's just going to straight up fucking tackle you. If you have
he
the ball, that's just a bonus.
he detonated a wide receiver coming on a fake jet sweep, and it was the hardest I laughed in a while.
Oh, I remember that rep. And it was a form tackle as
Oh yeah,
well. He's
he
not
won.
dirty. He's just out to crunch you.
He's literally that clip of I didn't want the ball. I wanted him.
I think he brings that mentality just in every phase of the run game. Like, you have a tight end running a wham block at this guy. Rest in peace. You're just not a
You
factor
will
in
be
the play
remembered.
anymore. You're going to be a factor on the ground. Like Zion Young wants to make sure that he doesn't trip over your carcass afterward. He's detonating guards. He's just fantastic in the run game. And I think that the way he rushes the passer, even if he's not, bringing out a deep bag of moves and a ton of agility and a ton of hand speed to consistently get sacks. I think he's good at keeping the QB in the pocket. I think he is good at compressing the pocket so that when he does get a pressure, it's not just a quarterback escapes pressure. He makes sure that his pressure is actually felt. And I think that he's getting better. He can transition off of the bull rush, like I mentioned earlier. So he has some ability to create sacks, but I think his technique is coming along. He's got sufficient arm length where I do view this player as the exception to the rule. I tend to be lower on your just heavy-handed base end type of guys, but I think this guy can be a 3-down starter, and I think he's going to be disruptive. He is going to just knock the wind out of whichever player is in front of him, down in and down out. So I think he's creating some value for you outside the stat sheet. That is my Zion Young summary. You can go ahead and tell everybody why I'm wrong, but I know I'm right. I don't want to
I
face
mean,
down this guy.
you're right. Yeah, I'm not gonna say anything bad about Zion Young because I think he's gonna beat on my door and he's gonna beat my ass. Like, listen, he's got that alpha dog mentality. He may not be the best edge rusher on your team, but he's the number one edge rusher on your team. Don't know what to say about that. Like, nobody's gonna come for his title. Um, I think something we talked about with Gabe Backus last summer applies to him. He's got average, like 33-inch arms, but I feel like he's got really good flexibility, shoulder flexibility. He can really open them up and he can get into your chest because he can access all of that arm length. I mean, it doesn't do you any good to have 35-inch arms if you can't access it. Like a guy like Nigella Kelly, the other UCF edge, like 35-inch arms, but you wouldn't know it if you watched the tape, right? So I actually did I have a draftable grade on him. He's kind of nice. He's interesting for what he is. But Young, I mean, he just powers through. You talked about his bull rush. It's I don't think I'm quite this high on it, but
It's
like
messy. His technique is not good. The hands
it's
land high, but
I don't
going
hate his
backwards when he
technique. I
gets
thought he got decent leverage for a 6'6" guy, and he runs his feet. Like a lot of guys, it doesn't matter how good your first contact is if you don't have the leg drive to just keep pushing a guy backwards. Not something you have to worry about with Young. He's going to keep going. He's going to keep finding the ball. I just, against like the top level SEC tackles, I didn't see that dominance. I saw quality. Like I saw that's a good bull rush, but nothing incredible. Like, you see Bain going up against those top tackles, that's dominance. Young, it wasn't quite dominance, but like after Bain, I don't think anybody's given him too much of a run for his money as the best power rusher in this class. I actually like his bend quite a bit more than you do. I don't think it's fantastic, but I thought he was able to be stable around the edge. He was really tough to move off of his point. He had decent hips to get around the edge. Like you talked about, fantastic run defender. Like as a block destructor, he's so good. Like he gets in their chest and he just throws guys to the ground. You know what I mean? He's also got the quickness off the line to get in the play, to get in the backfield, make plays. Really great upper body strength to tackle runners. You know, like he also does this thing that's so good is when he makes contact in run defense, like a move block or something, a lot of guys will make contact and then they'll just forget that they have legs and they'll just stop running. Zion Young is just going to keep running. He's going to keep working to get that angle to dig the tackle out. He's so good at that. The reason I just have a true 2 on him, not a 1 through 2, is just I don't think he has a winning trait. I love the motor. It's elite. Maybe it is a winning trait. I don't know. That's a little tougher to bet on as a winning trait. I just don't think there's anything that separates him. Might limit to him to a number 2 in the league, I think. And overall, you know, the finesse isn't that developed. The bull rush isn't all that developed either. The track is there. He's done a lot very well, but I want to see him develop more of a tool set. If you don't have a winning athletic trait, then I want you to be a little bit more varied, have that options, get to your win condition, hit your counter a little bit more often. But overall, I love him. I think he's a fantastic player. I think he's going to be in the league a long time. He's got a great floor and a nice ceiling. Again, I don't say it about everybody that I'm talking about right now, but I don't want to take him in round 1. There's not enough ceiling for me to take in round 2, but round 1, but in round 2, I think this is a great guy. Just go out there, get yourself at the very worst a quality number 3 and a guy who I really think is going to be a team's number 2 for quite a bit. He's got the potential to be a really elite number 2.
You did a good job explaining how he takes on pullers. Like that's what I was trying to get at. He moves his feet. And normally, like you see an edge rusher take on a puller, they both drop the shoulder. And then if it's a dominant win for the edge rusher, the move blocker kind of winds up recoiling backwards. Maybe they wind up on the ground. And then the edge rusher has to pop back up and pursue the play. Zion Young is just going to move through you like you are not there and then tackle the running back at the line of scrimmage. And that is the kind of stuff that is going to make him very endearing to NFL coaches. Like, at the very least, if nothing else translates, that will play and that will make you a valuable guy on early downs.
Yeah. Also, so tall, he can see above tackles. He see what's going on. He can find the runner. That's real nice. But yeah, I don't think the tackle being there really has anything to do with Zion Young's game. It's just about a war with himself. And isn't that everybody? Doesn't everybody just boil down to a war with himself? This is what's so great about Zion Young. He makes us delve deep into philosophy.
Yep. Internal locus of control. Number 1 trait I'm
Absolutely.
looking for in an edge rusher.
He's number 1 on the list. We don't need to talk about anybody else. All right, but we should talk about other guys. Who is next? Would that be I think that would be I'll talk about Keldrick Falk, I guess, because he's lower for me than Gabe Backus is. He's at number 5. He's very similar to when we watched him last year. I have a true 2 on him. There's not much to say about him that I feel like most people haven't already. It seems everybody just says, yeah, Keldrick Falk. At pick 32, I hate him. At pick 33, I love him. I'm not taking him in the first round, but the second it gets to the second round, I'm going to take him. Obviously, the things that just jump off the page about Falk are he's incredibly big, 6'6", 276, like 34.5-inch arms or something like that, 34-inch arms. Again, he's got an even better wingspan. Like he can just, as a run defender, there are very few weaknesses due to this. Let me read my notes. See if I have any big weaknesses as a run defender. I thought his wrap-up technique was a little raw, and that's pretty much all I got. Like, sometimes the hands are a little bit inaccurate as well, but he diagnoses incredibly quickly. As I said, head above water. It's a really important thing. You keep your head above water, you can see where the running back's going. He does that really well, and he always finds where the ball is. He makes the play in the gap. I mean, that's just an incredible trait. I think he's the best in the class at that. Finding the ball, identifies the concepts. He blows the play up. And for 6'6", I think he's probably pound for pound, size adjusted athleticism. He's the best in the class. I think that's maybe that's an unpopular take, but I think he's the best size adjusted athlete. I think he's a better athlete than Ruben Bain is for the position, and they're similar. And Bain is much shorter, and he's a little bit lighter actually. but he can get off the line pretty quickly. He's got fine bend. He's got pretty good agility. Like I don't have many complaints about his physical attributes whatsoever. Problem is with Keldrick Falk is that he's just not anything as a pass rusher right now. There's just nothing much there. I mean, really, the only things that I have are athletic traits. Like he's got that get off, and he's got like insane bend. He's a freak of nature as a mover. That is what most of my notes about his pass rushing capabilities boil down to. And then there's like, yeah, I saw good power sometimes. Like there were flashes, right? I think he's very tenacious. He's going to keep working towards the ball. But I think a similar conversation comes up with, who are we talking about? Where I was saying that with Denai Dennis Sutton, where I don't see him working to the win condition often. I don't see him finding the open space. I don't see him going to the move that he knows he needs to win. I don't see the pass rushing instincts at all there. And he doesn't combine, like, at least with Denai Dennis Sutton, you look at this guy and he's got good technique. He's got decent technique. Like there are a lot of good where he just makes the right chop. He does a decent spin move, something like that. Good hands on the bull rush. With Falk, his hands are high. They slip off. They're just pretty bad all around as a pass rusher. There's nothing much to like about that. As a power rusher, there were flashes, but as a finesse rusher, there was like little to no redeeming qualities. He has the speed to threaten the outside shoulder, but that's about it. There are two phases of bend. The first phase, he's got great. He can dip. He can get those first two steps in. The last steps are not good. He cannot fully turn the corner. He does not have like burst to find the quarterback and make the play. There's just no counters on the tapes. Moves aren't strung together. Like overall, as a pass rusher, and he just hasn't improved much either. So yeah, the bull rush has improved a little bit, but what's the projection for a guy like if he doesn't improve? You've got a great run defender, but you can't just put a guy out there who has very little pass rushing capabilities out there when he's just there are no true rundowns. There are no, like for 3rd and 1, they're going to hit you with a play action a decent amount of the time. 1st and 10 is a pass down now. Like you can't just put out a guy who is a great run defender and a bad pass rusher on rundowns and just say, okay, well, he'll play on rundowns. He's a rotational guy. That's fine with us. You can't do that in the modern NFL. Every down is a pass down now. So Falk is going to have to improve. He's going to have to improve, and that is a really tough bet to make for a guy we haven't seen do it. However, he is a 20-year-old true junior with all the athleticism in the world. And I don't know anything about Auburn, but generally their prospects are not the most well coached up, I'll say. The coaching situation has not been great at Auburn over the past few years. There's no secret about that. Maybe that had something to do with it. I don't know. I think there's a lot of potential here with Falk. As I said, as a run defender, I mean, he just moves guys. He gets the right angle. He just throws guys to the ground. He can play from 0 to 9 tech with equal quality. He can genuinely be an interior defensive lineman on rundowns. He can do it as an edge rusher. There is no limit to his ceiling if he can figure out the technique, but do you believe he's going to figure out the technique? I don't. I just have such a tough time believing in that. Not easy enough to take in the first round. In this draft, I think we did mock him in the first round in our mock draft, but it's such a tough evaluation with Falk because you want to love him. You want to see the ceiling, but at some point it has to show even a little bit.
One new thing I'm doing this year on my draft board is for edge rushers, I include their pass rush moveset. And I tend to be pretty generous with including moves that you flashed 2 or 3 times on the tape evaluation. Like, it doesn't have to be one of your go-tos to get included. Keldrick Falk's moveset is speed rip and 2-hand bull rush. Another thing
even uses long arm.
Another thing I like about the system is that if there are like any nuances to the way you rush the passer, I will include them because like I'm trying to create a draft board that, a year or two in the future, I could release for public consumption, and I want it to be an interesting read. So let's pull up like Cassius Howell and read off the moves that he's got.
Oh,
I have the speed chop to rip, the dip and rip, the outside hop and chop, which hop and chop versus cross chop. Depends on
very similar.
Stem outside a little more heavily. Yeah, very similar. Long arm bull rush. A lot of the time I'll write something like long arm bull rush with active outside hand, or long arm bull rush with offhand forklift, inside spin, inside swim. So I like to go into detail. When I say it is truly just the speed rip and the two-hand bull rush, that is, he runs to the outside shoulder and he does this with the arms, and he looks to land two hands inside and run you backward. Like there's not really a speed to power component that I saw where you're selling one direction. There's not like a ghost chop like you see a lot of these very raw athletic types use. It is truly an F tier pass rush arsenal, and it is F grade technique as well. His strike accuracy is not good. I think that it can get better. I think there are some flashes as a block shedder. I think I like his block shedding more than you do. And when he's
I
lined
love
up
his
on
block
the
shedding.
interior, like you do you like his technique and sort of his bag as a block shedder?
Yes.
Okay, then we see that similarly. A lot of that you see on the interior because, there are conversations about whether Keldrick Falk is potentially a defensive tackle or like a reduction edge at the next level. Auburn sees that and uses him the same way. And when he is lined up against interior offensive linemen, I think that he looks a little more competent with the hands. You mentioned he is
Yeah.
young, he is athletic. We agree that he might be the best size adjusted athlete in this class. There's reason to think he can be a whole hell of a lot better than he is now as a pass rusher. However, I think I'm a lot lower on his bend and his finishing ability than you are. I thought that his ankles were really tight, and he's a big dude, obviously. What is his combine height? Yeah, 6'5" and 7/8. So naturally getting low is going to be a struggle for this player. I don't really see that improving. And then I just don't think he is that fast long term. I don't think that he's going to run down quarterbacks very consistently.
I
And
agree.
that hurts you a lot when I don't think you're going to be winning reps cleanly very consistently. So a dominant run defender, I'm not really concerned about that. It's just that his floor as a pass rusher is so incredibly low because I don't even think he has like the you're an elite athlete who converts speed to power floor that a lot of these prospects do. That spoiler alert, I think somebody like Derek Moore does, where like if you put him out there as a starter, it'll get you 40 pressures, even if they're not super high quality a season. I think he's easily a notch below that. So if he wants to see the field on anything resembling a passing down, that bag just has to come a long way. And I think that's a big projection, but I think that it is possible.
And another thing I think for his projection is if you really wanted to find him a home, where he can just, even if he doesn't improve much as a technician, I think there is a world where he goes out there to a team. Oh gosh, I don't know, like Minnesota is obviously the poster child that just loves to run slants and twists and stunts and just do it all the time. He was really good at that at Auburn. Like he had a knack for, like, he was surprisingly good at like dipping the hips and making like sudden moves around the edge as a looper. From a defensive tackle standpoint, he was a really good looper. He was a really good crasher to just get inside and muck things up. Like twisting and stunting is a lot less about technique as it is about just causing general chaos. And that's one thing Falk is really good at. Whenever he's rolling around, he's kind of a bowling ball in there. He's just moving from thing to thing. He's knocking guys over. Brian Flores can make use of that. There are a lot of defensive coordinators who'd love to have that. Just he's a random number generator. You don't know what you're going to get with him, and sometimes you'll get good stuff. So I think you get him in a system like that where he can just play the run, and then sometimes if it turns out to be a pass play, there's a high chance that if he's on the field, there's a stunt, and he's just making things happen with that. He's causing chaos. He's giving opportunities to other guys to make plays. He can be a great distraction. That's a decent floor, and that's enough, right? I think that's enough of a floor to not feel so shaken by the lack of technique.
Yeah, I agree with that. He is going to be a useful football player, even if the technique doesn't really come along. Now, if it doesn't come along, is he going to return value based on where he selected him? Probably not, but it's a guy who's going to play out his rookie contract at the very least as an effective asset, fifth or sixth guy in the defensive line.
I think we're both glad he's not top 15, 10 anymore. Consensus.
Yeah, certainly.
All right. You want to talk about TJ Parker out of Clemson?
Yeah, I can take TJ Parker. I see him kind of as like a souped up version of Dennis Sutton in that he has a couple intangible traits that make me really excited. One thing I noticed about him, he is just always around the football. He has 12 career fumbles forced or recovered. For TJ Parker, recovering fumbles is somehow a skill. It is inexplicable how good he is at it. He's not just lucky necessarily. It's like he is very coordinated and instinctive, and he's got his head on a swivel. He knows what's going on around him. And I think that that's something that will translate to the NFL because he has time to build out his pass rush moveset, which is not good right now. That is one of my biggest concerns with TJ Parker, but he is a third year junior, not an elite athlete. That was one thing that concerned me a little bit over the summer when he was being mocked as like a top 5 type of edge rusher. He just didn't have the athleticism that you would expect from that kind of prospect profile. But now that he's fallen into that first to second round range, I think he's a very good athlete for that area of the draft. And I think he's a very versatile athlete as well. I think that you can use him with a hand in the dirt, standing up. He's great in coverage for some reason. The guys that are good in coverage, they always surprise you because you'll see like 245 pounders that are standing up in like a true open 2 point stance, like an off ball linebacker. And it's like, okay, you must be great in zone. Nope, terrible, running the wrong direction. And then you've got like 255 pounders that play more four technique with both hands on the ground than they do standing up. And they know exactly what's going on behind them, and they're fucking up passing lanes, and they're getting their arms out there.
You get the
And
3-ton nose tackle being the pole runner.
exactly. TJ Parker is one of these coverage assets that I think just it adds a lot of flexibility to the team that selects you, like completely scheme independent, has just a great role, I think, to grow into. One thing I love about Parker is really every action he takes is very forceful. He has natural pop in the hands. He'll go to a club move and it will naturally throw guys off balance. I think that he dips low on a lot of his power moves and he fights tackles uphill, gets up underneath them, and that can ease his transitions off of power moves a little bit. Now, the big concern with TJ Parker is just he didn't really get better this year, and that does concern me. He just doesn't have an inside move. And that's not going to play at the NFL level. If you can't threaten the inside shoulder of the offensive tackle, that is as bad as if you can't threaten the outside shoulder because then they can just set really deep in their kick slides and you don't really have an answer for that. I think that his strikes are really poor with the limited pass rush moves that he does have. He'll fire early, the hands will land up high. So it's just a lot of refining TJ Parker's overall pass rushing bag. But I mentioned earlier, I will give guys that are younger and traitsier a lot more leeway than older, less long, less explosive, less athletic types of players. So I think that TJ Parker is that classic case. He's going to be, I think, a solid football player, but I really do think he has the upside to be a lot more than that. I could see him being a Pro Bowler, even if I don't think it's the most probable outcome, and that is why he is my number 5 edge in the class.
Yeah, he's my number 10, but I don't think we see him all that differently. I got a true 2 on him, just barely. He barely avoided 2 through 3, just because I think the floor is pretty nice due to the run defense and the adequate pass rushing. I'm just a little bit lower on the athleticism. Didn't really see the bend I wanted to. I just thought the bend was pretty bad as a whole. I mean, just average. It was just average. He struggled to threaten the outside shoulder, and he's a bigger guy. I wanted to see him be able to take hits, and he just really got destabilized really easily by long arm tackles who could just push him. Um, Again, like there was no one move I thought he excelled at. I was disappointed by the power. I thought it would be better. I wasn't impressed by it. Again, there's no inside move. Really concerning. It just didn't seem like he had a great feel for pass rushing as an edge. He got one weird thing was he got knocked on his ass like 10 times this season by running backs who like he was rushing the tackle and then the running back is coming out of the backfield to run around. The running back just chips him and he just doesn't see him coming at all and he just gets knocked out. Like it's running backs are 210, 215-pound guys running full force into you. That's not something that you can survive without bracing, and he just isn't bracing, and that is slightly concerning. He doesn't see that coming for how many times it happened. If it happened, if I'm talking about it, it had to have happened a really concerning number of times, but really not too many complaints as a run defender. I thought he had a really good anchor, was just able to move, shed good shedder, decent block destructor, went after the wrists a lot. I like that. Was attacking I think there's room to improve his processor. I think there's room to improve his tackler. Both of those will improve, I think, because I've seen improvements. But like you said, he didn't improve much as a pass rusher. I actually thought he got a little bit worse this year. There was less of a finesse bag. I thought the power was a little bit worse. And I think that's partly because it seemed like offenses were focusing on him. He was going against the number one tackle most of the time. He was getting chip help. Running backs were going at him in a way that he's not used to. I just think he's not used to that level of focus. So maybe in the NFL, he goes in, he's a number two, and he doesn't have to have the focus. I think he'll work best on a team where he just gets to be one-on-ones. I think his ceiling, not in the same role, not the same player at all, but in the similar role as Alex Highsmith in his prime with TJ Watt. Now, obviously, he's not Alex Highsmith is the best edge rusher on Pittsburgh now because TJ Watt's declined. Actually, my pro comp for TJ Parker is current TJ Watt. So that ties in nicely. I know
that's a good comp. I totally see that. Like all the way down to forcing fumbles and just being all over the football.
The forcing fumbles thing is so weird because I think we talked about that over summer. It's like, yeah, he forced 6 fumbles. That's crazy. And I know most people will say it's regression, but I think he's just kind of magnet for the ball. He's going to force fumbles. He forces 6 fumbles again this year. So credit to us for calling that out. But yeah, I think he's just going to be a similar player to current TJ Watt, like a fantastic run defender who just somewhat limited by the fact that if he gets a lot of attention, he doesn't really have the skills to get out. Obviously, Watt's a much better technician than Parker is, and he's a slightly worse athlete. But I think that's the kind of a similar thing. But in the Alex Highsmith role, where he can just be the number two, TJ Watt gets all the chip help, gets the double teams, he can just be the number two to get one-on-ones and really focus on refining his craft on those one-on-ones, you versus somebody else kind of plays. I think that there's a nice ceiling for him as a number two in the league. And I think there's a nice floor. He's a quality pass rusher already. He's a fine pass rusher already. He's a quality run defender. I don't think he's a bad athlete by any measure. He's perfectly solid, and he's really, really, really strong. Got great upper body strength and core strength.
It's the wonderful US West Wi-Fi. You see,
it is.
For our wonderful listeners out there, my housing situation, I'm in a university apartment, and I'm very lucky to be in a university apartment. I love where I live. However, I am literally as far away from campus as you can be while being in an on-campus apartment. It's like US West is sort of farthest away from all the important stuff, and then I am at the very back edge of it on the 3rd floor. So you got to climb the stairs as well. So I'm just like far away from the university Wi-Fi center, and if we ever have connection-related difficulties, I'm going to default to blaming the US West Wi-Fi.
I think that's fair. Unfortunately, I'm pretty sure that I'm living somewhere close to where you're living next year.
Well, hey, West is nice, just not the internet.
Wi-Fi.
Maybe lean on a good hotspot.
Maybe we can figure out the studio next year. Maybe we can get good cameras in the studio, because that's really the problem with the studio, because we don't get to do all the graphic stuff that we want to do, all the stuff you see on the screen now. We really like to do that stuff. And yes, that would be cool. All right. I think the last guy we got to talk about before we talk about our individual top threes is Gabe Akis. You had him at number 10. I have him at number 4, and I almost put him at number 3. So we each have our guys. Your guy is your number 3, and my guy is my number 4. Gabe Akis, what round grade did you have on him?
I have true third.
All right, I have 1 through 2. This will be fun. So Akis was kind of the guy that separated from the pack. Every single one of those there's a million guys from 30 to 60 on the consensus board. The only one of them I really wanted to get to, I didn't get to, was Derek Moore, which seems to be the most unfortunate one not to get to. So, you know what? We'll take our losses, because I've also got a take on Akis. Not really a take. I just think I see him a little bit better in most categories than everybody does. I think he's consensus number 50 or so on the board. He'll probably end up in my top 30. As a prospect, I think his power is the second best in this class behind Bain. I think it's better than Young. And I know that's a bit of a take, and that might be the difference, is that I think that is a winning trait, and that's what separated him from everybody else on this list, is not just that I don't think the dominance was there as much. I think it was more consistent than everybody else. Young, he kind of faltered against those NFL tackles. Akis going up against Big Ten tackles every single week, guys who were going to be in the NFL, and he was consistently moving them off their points. He was consistent. He was moving guys. He was shooting them into the air. He was taking them off their feet. Like, he is incredibly strong. He moves people against their will in both phases. He's got great mass. Like, he's big, he's dense on the field. You can see it. Like, we talked about how you're able to, he's got good shoulder flexibility. So his arm length is only average, but he's able to extend it and really get into their frame a little bit sooner. Strength overall is a big plus for him, and you can really see why he never lost a wrestling match in high school. You can see why, because nobody is more of a pure wrestler on the field than Akis is. It just looks like there's nobody who's better at digging out a lineman. Like, he will run his feet and get to the angle and dig you out. He is throwing guys. He is contorting his body and throwing guys with just two arms that just should not be possible. And it's incredible to watch in the run game. It's incredible to watch as a power rusher, right? He does this thing also as a bull rusher that I don't see a lot of people do, where not only does he push right towards the QB, right? A lot of people just, when they go for the bull rush, they're just going to get in, they're going to push up, right? And they're going to push him right towards the QB. Akis sometimes does that, but sometimes what he'll do is he'll get in there and he'll push like 45-degree angle away from the QB. So when the bull rush like starts to stall, he just rips those hands out and he goes right for the QB. There's an angle right there. It's just a little bit of a path right there. So he doesn't really have an inside move as much. Like, he's starting to develop one, and he's got a really nice spin move. So he does have an inside move. He's just overall a really quality pass rusher. That's really what I love about him, is that I don't really have many complaints to pass rusher. I think he's a really good technician. I think he is a good enough athlete. I think he's actually a pretty good athlete. Size, mass, technique, power, everything is really there for him. But even if he didn't have an inside counter, that is an inside counter. You hit him with the bull rush, he can take it right inside. So, that is fantastic, right? He's starting to develop those finesse moves like I was talking about. He's got a great swim move to just throw guys around. Like, he just changes directions pretty well for a guy like that. He I could talk about him for a very long time. He's the guy I think he's the guy I had the most notes written down for him. I don't have him in front of me, and as a run defender, he was very good. One of the best anchors in the class, got really low. He's decent knee bend for his size. And for a taller guy, he was able to get really low. He had a fantastic push-pull. So he's pushing a guy backwards. They have to think they have to anchor. And then he's got the arm length, the arm strength to just push them, rip them backwards. He's always confounding expectations as a run defender. Like, and what we were talking about this with Zion Young, and I think they're similar players. I just think Akis is a little bit better at everything, which put him into the first round category for me. Most edges kind of like fear pulling guards, or like the split tight ends, wham blockers. Akis just delivers the hurt. It is a world of pain to anybody who dares come into his zone as a run defender. He is just going to destroy guys. He's got impressive get off in both phases, so he's going to be able to threaten the edge. I think he's got really good bend through contact, and overall just solid ankle flexion to threaten the edge, to finish that arc, not just the first half of the semicircle, but the second half of the semicircle. Find the quarterback, get your eyes up, right? And he can make plays. He can penetrate. He can hold his ground, set a firm edge, but he can also penetrate as a run defender. Like, there's a lot to like there. My biggest complaint on him actually wasn't my biggest complaint on him, and what I think keeps him from like elite, like top true one, is the bend. Like, I thought the bend through contact was good, but overall he just couldn't really sink the hips and cut a tight corner when he needed to. He can't really do that, and that is a struggle. And also that showed on stunts, right? So he's not going to be a great stunt threat. That might kind of limit him. But as a run defender, he was inconsistent, which was really surprising. He profiles as a guy who's going to be a great run defender, but he kind of got really too close to linemen sometimes. He was unable to shed because they were able to kind of wrap up. He's crashing a lot, which means that he's going to try to make the play inside. He let a lot of guys bounce outside. Too many guys bounce outside. Like, he's got a great feel, great instincts, but those instincts will take him astray sometimes. He's going to go for the big play rather than just setting that edge. Be strong, right? And while I do like that pass rush profile, I think it's very good. I think he's incredibly technically sound. When he goes to the finesse moves, he doesn't often. He goes to the bull rush, he goes to the ripped, and he got predictable late in games. Another concern with him. But overall, Akis, I think the stuff in the run defense, I think you clean that up. I'm pretty confident you can do that, especially because he's improved. I didn't love it last year either. He's got except for the bend. I think he's got all the necessary athletic traits to be close to a number one, at the very least, a very good number two for his size. I think he's got incredible power. I think he's one of the strongest players in this class. I think he's got this ability, this angle taking ability, the ability to dig guys out. He understands leverage. He understands angles. Like you just, I know we say former wrestler a lot. I know people talk about that a lot, but I've never felt this strongly about a guy whose wrestling background actually translates to the NFL. You could see it on the field. I love most things about him. He's the guy I had some of the least weaknesses for as a pass rusher. Really surprising. I think he's just going to be an amazing number two for a team for a really long time. And I take that in the first round. I really would. And I think he's got the potential to be a number one every down. Even if he's not the best number one in the league, I think he's got the potential to be an every down number one edge rusher in there. I really do.
You're definitely talking me up on Gabe Akis a little bit. I guess my biggest concern with him is I don't know if I see that same winning trait in his power as a pass
Sure.
rusher that you do. Now, I absolutely see the strength. Raw strength is not a concern by any means for Gabe Akis. Holding the point of attack, just digging in his heels, fantastic. You mentioned how he just annihilates pullers. Another guy with sort of the trait where I'm not going to bounce off you and you're going to like eat most of the contact. I'm just going to run your ass over and then proceed to tackle the running back in the backfield. If you don't mind. And another unique thing about him, I think he's the best arm tackler in this class. He's a tackle machine.
Yep.
He's in on like every tackle. He has just a very steady motor where even if he's not absolutely psychotic shot out of a cannon all the time, he's just heading toward the ball always. He's strong enough to just end plays super consistently. A lot of reps, you'll have guys fly late into gang tackles. They wind up knocking the ball carrier around, oftentimes knocking him from being off balance to being back on balance. And then more guys have to come in and they have to wrap play up 5 more yards downfield. That is not the case with Gabe Akis. He is a defensive stabilizer. He is just always working towards safe defensive outcomes. He is a pocket pusher, and I do think that his technique is good. I wonder if he is one of these freak athletes that is more of a raw strength guy that can also move a little bit than like a guy who is incredibly explosive and also disproportionate strength. And why I'm talking about that with Gabe Akis is because he was a 2025 Feldman freak, 30 plus reps at 225 on the bench, apparently broken 20 miles per hour, 12% body fat, which is insane for a guy who weighs what 260 and absolutely looks the part. He is just sheer muscle. However, I don't know how much that translates into his on-field athleticism. I think he's fine. I think he's fast enough over long stretches to, be a threat to quarterbacks once they break the pocket. He's not one of these where he gets in there for the pressure and then guys just run away from him. But I don't know if his first step is going to be dynamic, and I am concerned about the bend. I don't think that he's very good at getting low, fluid manner and turning his back away from the punches of the offensive tackle, reducing that surface area, and slipping underneath. And I wish that his pass rush wins were a little cleaner and a little quicker. At worst, you are getting another fantastic number 3 edge rusher, just the prototype in that role, a stable guy. You're going to run the ball. He's going to be a strength in that phase of the game for the aforementioned physicality, but also because I think he's just a very technical block deconstructor, much like he is a pass rusher. You're going to pass the ball. He's going to get you some pressures. They might not be the prettiest pressures in the world, but he's going to come in with that slow burn style, and he's not even going to be close to a 0 in the pass rush game. I do think this guy can be a quality starter. It's just I don't know if I'm super confident in that. I do wish he was a more consistent run defender in terms of his discipline. I think you touched on that. He takes really frustrating angles sometimes. I think that
bad option
the guy
defender
in this class where, really stood out, but maybe you can work on that. I do like Gabe Akis a lot. It's just I wish I saw a little more functional athleticism with this player. Still, he's got that strength, that immovability, that stopping power as a really strong link trait that he can fall back on.
Yeah. So Akis is kind of a good place for me to debut a take I've been working on for a while. Is that first step is kind of overrated just a little bit. It's important, but in the sense that first step is kind of encapsulating everything with acceleration and how quickly you get to that third step. You know what I mean? I think first and second step are important. I think third, fourth, fifth, and sixth are just as important, right? Because if you can get off the line quickly, that's great. But I think it's almost just as good as if you can get to the same top speed you are. It doesn't matter if you can get to, if you're going for a bull rush, let's say, or speed to power, it doesn't matter all that much how fast you got off the line. If it's like a marginal thing, like R. Mason Thomas versus David Bailey, let's say, I think R. Mason Thomas is a better get off player. But let's say R. Mason Thomas, David Bailey's got better acceleration than R. Mason Thomas. I don't think he does. Let's say he does. They connect at the same time with the same force, the same acceleration. I think that you're getting about the same result, right? Like maybe they're a little bit more prepared because of the bull rush, because the first step wasn't quite as electric. I think that's fair, but the third and fourth steps are still going to make them, like, if you accelerate really well in the third and fourth step, that actually has a higher chance to open up the tackle's hips because they're like, okay, it's happening right now. We got to check the speed move. Whereas you kind of get that first step off quickly, but then you don't accelerate as quickly. The third and fourth step aren't as that you're slightly getting a little bit worse. Than the tackle's like, okay, I can kind of have a little bit more margin for error, sit back and maybe prepare for the bull rush if we're going for speed and power. Akis, first step, wasn't in love with it. I really wasn't at all. Acceleration, I was. I thought everything was there in the third, the fourth, the fifth, and the sixth step. He was able to just get speed. He's a big guy, tough to get off the line, tough to get all that mass moving at once. But once it had an exponential effect. And that's why I think he was able to deliver the power so well in speed to power and just regular bull rush. Like he's just got a lot of strength and a lot of leg drive to deliver it. Also, just a great motor to keep going no matter what. So I love Akis. I'm gonna go to war for him. I take him in the first round pretty easily. He's my number 4 edge in this class.
I love on this podcast when we just like talk macro football. I love that take, and I certainly don't disagree with it. Like, I think as football scouts, a lot of the time we do tend to identify too much with like, established ideas. You have to have this trait, you have to have that trait, and then we're not forgiving enough for guys that just win in a different way and produce the same outcomes.
Because there
What
are a
I
lot of
would
guys
say
in the
about
league who win in
absolutely,
different ways. This is why it's important. If you're a big college, I'm sorry I cut you off. If you're a big college tape fanatic, that's great. You also need to watch the NFL because you need to know what you're projecting. What wins?
it is a league of outliers.
Mm-hmm. All right, is that
what I
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Is I think that there are 2 areas where having a dominant first step helps you more than having dominant acceleration. I think that having a really strong first step eliminates offensive tackles' reaction time. So
Sure,
if you're
yeah.
speeding up around the apex, I think that there's more counterplay for the offensive tackle versus you just get blown by initially. Good luck doing anything about that. And then I think the other aspect is if you have dominant twitch and lower body agility, which tends to coincide with first step, there's more you can do to sort of couple that with your pass rush plan and really keep guys guessing
Yep.
and keep them worrying, not just after the ball is snapped, but before the ball is snapped. But I agree with you. That ability to just accelerate around the corner and catch tackles off guard, just they oftentimes don't properly position themselves because it's like, okay, I know what you're bringing to the table. You didn't get off the line all that fast, and then you just speed up and run past them. Absolutely valuable as well. I tend to identify that more with closing burst, and that is one of
Yeah,
my favorite traits that edge rushers can have.
definitely. Emmanuel Pregnon is salivating at the thought of having more guys in the field who don't have great first steps, and he doesn't have to worry about his reaction time as much because he can get to the acceleration. Then no, I've got great athletic ability, but you have to guard first step. No. It's not my job.
League of outliers. Everybody's
League of
got these
Outliers.
unique
This is why
quirks.
he's gonna be the best player in this draft. No lie, I got around his tape. We'll talk about him, I'm sure, on another episode, maybe in a mock draft or something. He's nice. He's nice. All right, I think we're on to our top threes. It was quite a dense list of 4 through 6s. All right, on to our top 3. You want to go? I mean, I'll go first because you got the take. So mine's pretty cookie cutter. 3, I got Akeem Mesidor. 2, I got David Bailey. 1, I got Reuben Bain.
3, I've got Derek Moore out of Michigan. 2, I have Ruben Bain from Miami, and number 1, I do have David Bailey from Texas Tech. And I
Whoa.
believe this is the same take that I had during the mock draft, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I think you took Bailey over Bain. That's offensive to my religion, actually.
Yeah, I know it hurts me a little bit, but actually not so much because I love both of these players' play styles,
That's fair.
and they are just polar opposites. I find
Yep.
both of the ways that they play football to be very entertaining and aesthetically appealing. So I don't feel like I'm slighting either one too much. It's really take your pick.
Yeah. All right, let's get the outlier out of the way. Why don't you talk me up on Derek Morris as an unseen observer? Get me excited to give him a top 10 grade.
All right, so on Derek Moore, my big thing is I just don't really know what his weaknesses are. I mean, he is a bigger, thicker, more muscular type of edge rusher, which I think comes alongside so many strengths, but you get a little bit of that classic. He's not super flexible around the edge, so he's not going to have some elite pressure to sack ratio. He has one weakness, one deficiency that I think is very fixable at the next level, which is that he doesn't counter and win late very well. But when he goes to his bread and butter, when he goes to the speed and power move, which I think is dominant for this player, when he just works around the outside shoulder using an excellent first step that I think is super underappreciated, he is a very consistent winner. One thing I love about Derek Moore is that he has an effective inside move, and it is just a crisp, classic inside scissors with accurate hands. It's a two-hand crossbody swipe for the uninitiated, and just consistently lands the punch. He'll go to a rip if he needs to, but oftentimes his lateral agility and explosiveness is satisfactory, and his hands are so accurate and forceful he doesn't even need to go to a rip on the follow through because the offensive tackle is just behind him. And he's explosive with his hands in other ways. One thing I love about Derek Moore is he's just going to start every rep by punching you in the chest with both hands, and then he'll use various different follow throughs. Like he has a two-hand shock that I think is super effective, which is one of my favorite pass rush moves to watch, where basically instead of swiping the offensive tackle's hands away, just like punch them. You punch both hands, the hands fly up, and you know what? If you're an offensive tackle like this and you're reeling backward, you're not going to be very successful stopping guys from running away from you toward the quarterback. So I think he has a very functional move set that pairs first step explosiveness, like we were talking about, with power, with an inside counter, with a high motor, and just makes him a very efficient pass rusher despite being one of these bigger edge rushers. I think he is everything you want as a run defender. One trait that I'm really focusing on this year more so than other years is just tackling consistency. I feel like as I'm watching more linebackers and more safeties, I have a better idea of how to separate actual like projectable tackling consistency at the next level from just missed tackle rate. I think Derek Moore is a player with excellent fundamentals. I think he projects well to the NFL. He is going to convert pressures to sacks with that, and he sort of brings that lunch pail mentality to everything that he does. I mean, this is a team captain. He's an Iron Man type of football player. He's a destructive stunt man as well, so he's got some scheme versatility to him. I think a very high floor asset. I just don't know what holds Derek Moore back. I know he's going to be good. I just don't know how good he's going to be, and that is absolutely a skill set that I will take in the first round.
Fair enough. Yeah. I mean, what are we doing, national media? Get some more eyes on it's a Michigan edge rusher. What more do you need to know? Like, I mean,
Exactly. And he plays like a Michigan edge rusher, just, with like
exactly.
without size outlier status.
Yeah, and you know what? I saw him at the Senior Bowl, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm not surprised. This is one of the nastiest students here. He's from Michigan. I mean, their strength and conditioning department is legendary, and he looks the part. Where's the attention on this guy? Sounds great. I'm incredibly excited to get to watch him. I'll probably watch him sometime this week. Doesn't matter what episode we do next. I want to get him in quickly. Really finalize that top echelon because I think he's the last guy that you could reasonably see entering my top five. Anything more about Moore?
Let's see, did I have anything especially interesting in my notes? He's just a super smart run defender as well. There are really two things I'm looking for in run defense as far as how well you're going to translate to the next level. Do you hold the point of attack and do you get baited out of position? And the answer to the first question is yes. The answer to the second question is no. He is super steady, high motor. You know what you're getting in both phases, but I mean, maybe you don't know what you're getting because maybe he exceeds all your expectations and just becomes a number one.
Well, you heard it here first, guys. Derek Moore getting picked over Ruben Bain and David Bailey both.
And Fernando Mendoza.
Yep. I mean, if Balls Talk Sports had their way, Derek Moore is the number one overall pick. So, no, he sounds like an exciting player. I'm excited to watch him. We want to go to Akeem Mesidor next.
Yeah, why don't you take it away, Mesidor?
All right. So Mesidor is a guy I was talking about earlier in the sense that he doesn't really have a winning trait. I don't think I'm insane to say that. In the NFL, I just don't see him having a super dominant trait. His dominant trait, well, it's two things. It's that he doesn't really have any weaknesses. Like, there are a couple of marginal things that we'll talk about. Of course, we like to nitpick, but there are not many bad parts about his game where you watch the tape and you're like, that was really bad, and it's consistently bad, and it's holding him back from being the best player he can be. But there's not a lot like his athleticism. I'm actually higher on it than I think most people are. But I still I think it's good. It's quality, right? I think he gets off the line pretty quickly, reasonably quickly. I think he's got quality agility, right? I think he can lower the hips really well. He can get low. His bend is off and on. I don't love it. You know, I thought he really struggled to corner and struggled to change direction really quickly, but I still think it was fine, just not like as good as his get off. He's a strong player. He's 6'3", 259 or so, and I think he played quite a bit of interior last year. I actually watched him. This is one of my better takes. When I was watching Ruben Bain over summer, I watched Akeem Mesidor, and I was like, you know what, this guy, if he can improve the technique, like, he's a pretty damn good athlete, and he's got a heck of a motor. I don't see why he can't be a day two player next year. And then guess what? I undersold him. So you know what? We'll take those. We'll take those. But I think what I really love the most about him is we've talked a lot about guys who just never stopping, running right towards the quarterback no matter what. And I think Akeem Mesidor is just the pinnacle of that in this class. This guy gets an A+ effort grade from me. He is always working towards the quarterback. You could honestly call that a winning trait. I mean, he fights like a rabid dog through contact. Like, Young and Akis, it's kind of different where it's like they're fighting and it's controlled and they're just willing their way through. Mesidor, it's like if he doesn't get to the quarterback, his family's going to go hungry. And that was, I haven't done research in his background, so it's very possible that is what it is. I mean, that's what drives a few guys, but he just goes at it from a psycho mentality, and you just love that about him. Watching him, it just seems like no matter what, his first move stalls, it doesn't matter. I'm going to get to the quarterback no matter what. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And that's just one of my favorite traits in an edge rusher, because if you're going to win anyways, if you win 4 seconds in every single play in the NFL, you will have a job. You're not going to be the best player in the NFL, but you'll have a job. You know what? We need janitors just as much as we need, like, the Flash, right? The Flash is cool. He does the big picture stuff, but the janitors clean everything up. They make sure everything's neat and tidy. And after the Flash has all these battles and all this destruction occurs, if there's a little quarterback that got left because he didn't get hit because the Flash slightly overshot him, janitor's going to come in and clean him up, and you'll take that. Mesidor can do it from every position on the field, right? He can play linebacker. He can play wide nine. I think he's got the athleticism for it. He's got the strength, and he's got the quickness to make an impact as a 3-tech or a 4-eye. I think there's a lot of strength there. As a finesse rusher, I think he's just really a good technician. Not much to say about that otherwise. He's got the best bag of counters in the entire class. He's very twitchy. He gets it. Like, he sees the win condition often in college football, especially. The win condition is the inside counter. How are you in win condition? I just mean, what's the best way to win, or the only way to win this play? And oftentimes it's the inside play. So he just sells speed because he can. He will go with a really nice outside chop to further sell it. That's enough. And then he spins backwards, or he's going to cut underneath with he's going to cut with he loves to chop with his inside hand on the tackle's outside hand and then go for the inside rip. It's incredibly difficult to stop. We talked about hand and arm speed a lot. He's got great arm speed where he's just so quick to make his move. It's just, I know we just compared him to the janitor, but he's like the Flash when he's making his move. It's just so tough to see coming. A lot of reps look the same. A great run defender as well. He's just going to anchor. He's going to discard guys with relative ease. He destroys blocks relatively well. Like, he's got strong hands. We talked about tackling technique. I think he's got quality tackling technique. He's a hard hitter. He forces a lot of fumbles or like a lot of close, like he hits quarterbacks. If he comes and beats you around the blind side, that quarterback is dying. He's going to the hospital because Mesidor is going to deliver a blow, right? He's just so fun to watch. And as a power rusher, I haven't talked about too much about that. I don't think it's bad at all. He's got reasonably good power with, again, he's able to get low. He's got good hands to get inside the chest and push. I don't think he's got a lot of raw strength and a lot of raw leg drive. His legs are somewhat slender. That holds me back on the ceiling a little bit, but I think he's got a really good ceiling as a finesse rusher. I think he's got a fine ceiling as a power rusher. He's going to be a good run defender in the league. This is a guy you can have in every single down, have complete faith that he's going to hold up his end of the deal and make the play. But again, how is he going to win consistently in the NFL? I don't know. And he also has pretty short arms, I think 32.5-inch arms. That will, again, limit his ceiling. And finally, the big thing everybody loves to talk about with Hakeem Mesidor, he will be a 25-year-old rookie. That does matter a little bit, not that much. The thing that bothers me more about that is that he spent 6 years in college football, and only in his last year did he really break out. It took him a while to get to this level of player. I'd like to hear what you think about him. Is the age thing a concern for you? Anything that I missed? Go ahead.
Well, first of all, Akeem, the janitor and the Flash, Mesidor,
Yes.
is just an
Jack
absolute
Sawyer is
pressure
the chair.
accumulator.
Hakeem Mesidor is the janitor.
We need at least one nickname for a heavy-handed edge rusher
Yep.
per draft cycle, and I think we found ours. He's just a pressure accumulator. He had, I think, 44 in the regular season, and then he tacked on another 23 during the college football playoffs. So
Big
he
game player.
elevated his level of play, to the level of game that he was in. You mentioned that he's just an absolute counter move machine. I do think he has the best bag of counters in this class. And I want to talk more about what I mean by a pressure accumulator. So this year, I'm working on balancing how much I value run defense with how much I value pass rushing. And I think a lot of people have this notion that you got to be a run defender because you got to be a run defender. And I don't hold that view. Like, if you're a dominant pass rusher, I don't freaking care if you're bad against the run, because that is where the money is made. It is made getting after the QB. However, if you can't be on the field in early downs because you're not quite a good enough pass rusher to justify the fact that you're not a good run defender on first down and second and short, then you can't accumulate pressures on first and second down. Akeem Mesidor brings the best of both worlds. He is going to be a 3-down player. I think he is very savvy and nuanced in his approach, where he does have a ferocious motor, but I also think that he's a natural ball hawk. I do think he mostly keeps the QB in the pocket, and I think he's a really solid finisher as well. He is going to get you sacks when you need sacks, and he is going to get them. Yep. He's going to get him on first, he's going to get him on second, and he's going to get him on third. I don't think he's the highest ceiling player in this draft class. I do wish he was a little bit more of a pass rush win rate guy. Like, I don't actually know what his win rate is. I also do tend to think that at the college level, pass rush win rate tells you a lot about how strong and athletic a guy is versus how good their technique is and like how clean they are winning. Yeah. He tries a lot of moves. I don't always think the technique is perfect. You wish he was a little bit more polished for a sixth-year guy, but I think a lot of his skill set is going to translate. He's going to bring a ton of utility. He is going to be a high floor starter at the NFL level. So that is why I think you can certainly spend a first-round pick on Akeem Mesidor. I see a lot of George Karlaftis to his game.
I think that's fair. Hopefully it's not NFL George Karlaftis, because
NFL George Karlaftis was like 10th in pressures last year.
Okay, but it's the Chiefs. Anybody can be 10th in pressures on the Chiefs. It's like George Karlaftis, all of those pressures were like 5 seconds in. Call him the janitor, right?
I watched all of them. They weren't that terrible, but
no,
I agree with your sentiment.
Bad, but
I think that's what Mesidor is. I think he's a slow pressure type of player, but I think he's steady.
I agree, but Karlaftis and Mesidor's motors are like swapped, so they're like complete opposites. And I think that could be the difference in Mesidor being like a great player versus Karlaftis being only okay in the league. I mean, have you heard Chiefs fans hate George Karlaftis? Like, I'm lower on him than consensus as an NFL player, but oh my God, they're calling for his head. Like, it's like how much I hated the Broncos receiver room before we got, I still don't love it after we got Waddle, but it's like, Jesus Christ, it's bad. But yeah, Mesidor, it's so tough to project a college to an NFL player, like, oh, he's just bust proof. I think this is really close, not as close as you can get, but coming near as close as you can get to bust proof. And you need that to be there for a 25-year-old rookie. So a team that's looking to contend right away, that will get a lot of value out of picking him in the first round. All right. We got two guys left. I'll let you talk about your number one first.
All right, so David Bailey, you've heard a lot about him. This is a player that I have liked since summer scouting, but I was just too damn low on him. He's a pass rusher, Victor, and that's going to translate.
True.
No doubt in my mind. I might actually be a little lower than consensus on his athleticism. I think he's a great athlete. I think he's plus all around. His first step is super well timed. He will run down quarterbacks and he will turn those chasing toward the sideline plays into sacks and into strip sacks where they go and try and throw the ball and he gets a hand in and pokes it away. High value pressures, early pressures is the name of the game with David Bailey. The moves that he executes are fantastic. He has a high batting average on all of his moves. We were just talking about with Akeem Mesidor. He tries a lot. It doesn't always get home. With David Bailey, it feels like his arsenal might be a little thinner, but he still checks all the boxes. He checks the attacks outside shoulder box. He wins with power. I think that was a big development this year. His hands got a lot heavier, converting speed to power. He will go inside counter, and he has change-up, hezzy moves that he can hit you with as well. His spin move is every bit as filthy as it was the year prior at Stanford, and then some. Just technically flawless. As a pass rusher, you just can't poke holes in his game. Like, I guess you can say he's not Myles Garrett, but he is going to be a high-end sack producer. He is going to be a high-end pressure creator. His run defense isn't good. I even wish his motor was a little higher in that phase. But like I was just talking about, this is the kind of player where I don't really care. Because, yeah, is he going to get pushed off the ball a little bit on first down? Sure. Is he going to breach contain occasionally? Sure. But he's also going to get first down sacks and kill drives by doing it. So that is why David Bailey is my number one edge rusher. It's what I'm paying an edge rusher to do. Get after the QB. And you are getting 5 cheap seasons of that with David Bailey as a stand-up outside linebacker.
I absolutely agree. What grade do you have on it?
Top 10. Near top 5, but this is it's not a top-heavy draft class.
Yeah, that's fair. I got a true one on him. Just a couple of things we differ on. I think that was a really good assessment of how good he is. I am just lower on him as a pass rusher overall. I think he's a great one. I just don't think he's like an elite one. I agree with you. His athleticism is slightly overvalued. Like, I think he's got great get off. It's just not elite. His bend is only good. I wasn't impressed by his bend. Like, I didn't see the elite bend really, and it was the big thing that I don't love about him is that his hands. I loved him in counters on inside moves. He was pretty good at it, but he didn't do it enough, right? Because most of the time he was just going for the speed rush, and he just kind of had this waved his hand as a chop sometimes, and it just
the ghost move. Abdul Carter, top 5. Yeah,
but the ghost move doesn't matter if the tackle just pushes you out of the pocket, and that happened like a lot. Whenever he tried that, if it was a ghost move, then it didn't work because he didn't dip underneath and get around the tackle before the tackle was able to open up his hips and throw you to the ground. You know, it just seemed like a lot of his pressures ended up as he just overshot the quarterback by a few feet. And that's fine. It also can improve, right? But I just wanted to see him just chop really hard, take away that tackle's hand, and then use that for leverage to just turn, change directions, and go right to the QB. Like what we see Ruben Bain do, like what we see R. Mason Thomas do, right? He's got elite flashes of that. It's all there, but it just wasn't consistent enough. I think that there is a lot of things. There's a lot of things that he does that just kept tackles in the race. You've got this athleticism. You can't allow them to stick around. Another thing, the speed to power, there were a few plays where I saw it, absolutely. But most of the time, he just didn't really have those heavy hands you look for. Just the power was kind of underwhelming for me. It was fine. It just wasn't particularly good for me. So I worry about his ability to run through the chest. What I do love about him, though, is that he's a smaller guy, but he's got long arms. So he can engage from a distance and really get that push immediately if he can start to learn how to translate speed to power more consistently, because you need to be able to do that. Like, you know what? I think he's getting some some Von Miller comps, he does not have good enough speed to power to be getting Von Miller comps. You know, he needs a very long runway. My point is he needs a very long runway to develop it. From a wide 9, he's fine, but you asked him to play like a base 4-3 end or just a classic 6 tech. He's just not going to get much push on a bull rush because he doesn't have much of a runway. And whenever he does have that runway, I thought he sometimes struggled to deliver speed to power. And when you add all that in, where I don't think he's this 15 sack a year kind of guy, right? He could improve, but even the athleticism is not elite. I don't know if he'll ever get there. I could definitely see him being like a 10 to 12 sack a year kind of guy. But if you look at his floor is kind of like a really quality DPR, 6 to 8 sack a year kind of guy, then the run defense becomes a little bit more concerning because I didn't like it. Again, he's credit to him. A lot of guys in this class can penetrate in the backfield with great quickness, but it doesn't really matter because they can't find the ball. He finds the ball pretty well and he tackles pretty well as well. Like he's got long arms and he wraps up really well. So not something I'm worried about with Bailey, but he just gets washed out of the gap. He really struggled to shed. Like, you have long arms. Why are we getting tied up? Use them, extend, keep them at a distance because you're longer. They're Big 12 tackles. You're longer than them. Keep them at a distance and throw them around. You're strong enough to do it, but he just didn't do it. There's a lot of time for him to develop all of these things. They're somewhat nitpicks, right? But I think stronger tackles who are just as athletic as him, longer tackles, tackles who can match his athleticism and length, which I think there are quite a few of those in the NFL. I don't think he's such an elite athlete that he's not going to be able to be matched even by the best in the world. Like R. Mason Thomas, I think he's that level of athlete who most tackles are just going to struggle with him. I think the upper echelon of tackles in the league will be able to match David Bailey. That's when his superior technique is going to need to show through. And if he can't develop that, I mean, maybe he already has. Maybe I'm an idiot and making a fool out of myself. He's going to be elite year one. But I didn't see that elite technique. I think he's going to need to use it. I really hope he develops it because he's such a fun player to watch, and I'm rooting for him because he was the first prospect we did an actual scouting report on for this year. We released it over midseason, but just have a little bit of concerns. I'm slightly lower on him as a pass rusher, and that brings up the run defense concerns a little bit more. That's why, but he still earned a true one. Still think he's fantastic. I'm only hating on him because you did such a great job talking about his strengths.
I want to plead my case one final time with a few numbers that I think are very emblematic of David
40% pass rush win rate.
Insane. Believe it or not, pass rush win rate wasn't even a thing I was going to cite.
I don't think it's 40%, but I don't know what it is.
It's insane. It was damn close to 40% last year. I think it dropped off down to just being like
47,
top 10 in the country this year.
Oh, just top 10.
So over the last 3 seasons, 58 of his 86 pressures have been hits or sacks. That is an obscene conversion rate, and that's because he wins clean, wins athletically. 7 forced fumbles over the last 2 seasons, and again, we've talked about forcing fumbles is a skill, or at least it's a skill if you evaluate the player and say, this guy seems like he forced a lot of fumbles, and then you check the stat sheet and he forces a lot of fumbles. David Bailey is always poking at the football as he gets run around the apex. And if you're going to be one of these finesse speed rushers and you're going to have reps where you get flushed out the back of the pocket, I want to see you dangling that arm out there and getting the football out. And David Bailey checks that box. He got his missed tackle rate this season down to 11.8%, which sounds like a lot. That's very good for an edge rusher.
Edge, yeah.
Yep. Because edge rushers end up in a lot of tackle opportunities that are very, very challenging to finish. And I think that better missed tackle rate is here to stay because I think he got a lot bigger and stronger this year. He is a disproportionately effective arm tackler. Guys just don't get out of his grasp, which his weight is only 251 pounds, which is probably 45th, 40th percentile. You wouldn't expect him to have such impressive wrap-up strength. He absolutely does, so he's a finisher. And finally, this season, 83 pressures in 14 games. That was second behind Ruben Bain, who had 85 in 16. So I'm not trying to take anything away from Ruben Bain. They were easily 1 and 2 in the entire nation, and that is why they are 1 and 2 in our top 10 edge rushers list. But Bailey's pass rush efficiency unparalleled for back-to-back seasons.
Definitely. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I think he's a great pass rusher. I just have concerns about how if he's quite good enough to justify like a top 5 or a top 10 pick right away. I still think if I'm making a mock draft with just my own picks in this class, because I did almost give him the top 10 grade. I was pretty confident in the round 1, but it's closer to a top 10 than it is 1 through 2. In this class, I think he's probably going to end up as a top 10 player for me, probably. But that doesn't affect it anymore. But I think he's going to be good. It's just about how good can he be. We'll see. And another thing with him, the Big 12 is not like a bad conference. It is still high competition, but tackles this year, apart from Utah, there just weren't many. I watched the Arizona State game. That slightly concerned me because you've got this guy, Maxi Hanachor, Arizona State tackle, incredible player. Well, incredible athlete. He's just a freak athlete. Some of the best agility from a big guy I've ever seen. Incredibly long arms. And I think he performed well pressure-wise, but when I was watching the game, I saw a lot of those things that he usually likes to go to. He wasn't able to win because athletically he was matched. So that was some of my concerns arose from that game as far as athleticism.
And there's a reason I don't have a top 5 grade on him, but I'm really looking forward to seeing him play in the NFL as a rookie.
Yeah, I think he's going to be good. Definitely a defensive player of the year candidate year 1. He's going to rack up the sacks. All right, we're on to my number 1. You may have adopted the dark, but I was born into it. Ruben Bain Jr., Miami. He's been my number 1 edge rusher this entire year. Ever since summer scouting, went on a limb. I said he was my number 1 when he was, it wasn't that much of a limb, but he was my number 1. And he stayed that way the entire time. I'm in love with this guy's game. I'm in love with it. Just elite raw power and strength, like overall in every category. Leg drive, arm strength, like just pure upper body strength, bench press, chest strength, right? Core strength to not be moved off of his mark no matter what. He just is a true destabilizer with the bull rush. This is one of the best power rushers I think I've ever evaluated. No doubt about it. The only A power grade. I didn't quite give him the A+ because sometimes the power lacked elite sustain against like great anchoring tackles. Sometimes he didn't sustain it as well as I wanted him to, right? But most of the time, he just threw guys around. And I think that's going to translate to the NFL. This is a true winning trait that will beat most tackles in the NFL. He will not have an issue because he can just run right through you. Now, if tackles have time to prepare their anchor, to sit down and really make the play, NFL athletes will be able to do that. Bain is not going to give them the chance because I think he has he's good enough explosiveness and he's good enough bend to adequately threaten the edge and make that a respectable option. He is 270 pounds. I think he gets off the line a lot quicker than some guys who are 255, right? His first step is somewhat inconsistent. When it's on, it's on. Like he just fires off the line. But that's like the second step, he just gets right into it and he threatens that edge so well. I think, have you seen, a lot of us have seen the clip now of him at his pro day making an insane ankle shin turn bend, like all everybody has a comment on Ben now because they've seen Ruben Bain at his pro day. But it shows on the field. Like this guy just gets around the edge so well. He turns the corner. It's not like elite, but for his size, it's elite. Like it's unbelievable. He's not phased through contact. His bend through contact is tremendous. He just cannot be moved off of his mark no matter what. For a 31-inch arm guy, he's got one of the better long arms in the class. He's got one of the better forklifts in the class. Like he just gets into your frame and just pushes you around. I think his arm length, it's very short, the 3rd shortest in combine history. I don't think it matters as much because the big thing we talked about arm length a lot earlier, was if you can engage first, then oftentimes you win the rep. I don't think it matters if you engage Bain first because he wants to be close to you. He wants to get into your chest and drive you backwards. So if you engage him first, unless you just have elite upper body strength to prevent him from getting into his frame, which is just going to be impossibly difficult whenever he gets ahead of steam going, he is going to get into your chest and drive you backwards because he has this elite core strength, because he has this elite arm strength and that leg drive. It doesn't matter at all to him. And also, it's just, you have to get your hands on somebody, you have to be able to predict what they're going to do. You have to be able to stop the other moves. Bain is an incredibly technically sound rusher. He's a great bull rusher, but finesse, he's got a lot of counters. He's got a pretty nice spin. He's got a ridiculous club. Like, he just sends guys to the moon. You know what I mean? I think he's got a quality speed move to get underneath. So you have to. He's also got a ghost move. So you think he's going for the bull rush. No, I'm just going to go right around you. So you can't just shoot your arms predicting the bull rush because he can beat you in so many other ways. You know what I mean? He's just not going to be moved. So as a pass rusher, there's just such a high ceiling and there's such a high floor. So you think that this is going to be a guy who's going to, even if the athletic ability isn't quite enough to be a dominant pass rusher in the league, I'm pretty confident this is a 6 to 8 sack floor a year, like a floor 6 to 8 sack a year guy, right? And then you get into his run defense, and it's just tremendous. He's a 6'3" guy. He plays with incredible leverage. He's just getting so low, and you see it in the bull rush, but you see it in the run defense. He gets so low, and he picks guys up off of their move. In the pass rush, I didn't even mention one of his best moves, which is the rip. We talked about it with long arms. Again, it doesn't seem to matter that he has short arms with his rip because he just keeps moving. He's moving him backwards. It's like he's rowing in a fishing line. Just keeps moving no matter what. He's got a two-hand shuck, right? He just keeps linemen guessing when most of the time it's the bull rush, but they just don't see it's the bull rush till it's too late. He's a great edge setter. He's a violent player, always working towards the ball. Elite anger. I mean, like as a 4-eye, he can just split a guard and a center with his anchor. Like, I mean, he's incredible. The only concerns you have with him is, yes, the T-Rex allegations are very real. He has 31-inch arms. He's a bit of a T-Rex. It affects how he plays. He gets caught up in like short area tussles, right, where he's not the best block shedder because he often can't get free of them. Like he's not trying to power through you. He's trying to get around you. He's trying to move you this way. And that is a lot harder to do with those short arms. And also when a guy's running past him, he's just going to have a lower success rate with a missed tackle rate. That is concerning as well. As a pass rusher, I want to see him get to his counters more efficiently, right? It wasn't that smooth, and he didn't often have a great feel for getting there. I don't think much of it matters, right? I think, yeah, you can have slight athletic concerns. You can have concerns about the arm length. In the end, it's like you with Bailey. I don't particularly care. I don't care. Say whatever you want. I know what I see on tape. I know that translates because he consistently did it against the best teams in football at the highest level. He was moving Ohio State, Indiana, no matter who it was. Bain showed up every day to work, also raved about as a captain, a leader. Like, there's just not many holes in his game, and the holes that there are there, I don't care. He's just that good. Top 5 talent. He is my number 2 player in the class.
I think that Ruben Bain is as optimally equipped to thrive in the NFL with sub 31-inch arms as any edge rusher ever could be.
Yeah.
It's exactly what you touched on. He finds ways around it. His club move isn't really a club move. I would describe it more as a right or left hook. He has the upper body quickness of a boxer despite being a really, really big edge. And that is an absolutely crucial trait because guys are not able to brace for his strikes. So not only is he going to crush you because he is huge and strong, but because he is quick and unpredictable. He has a swim move that is somehow a power move. Don't ask me how that works. See, in conventional wisdom, the swim move, you take the arm over and then you sort of use that as a mechanism to slip past the guy in front of you. With Ruben Bain, he takes the arm over and it just crushes everything it touches, and now you're on the ground, and he is sacking your quarterback. He has this really unique ability to, well, I've been playing a lot of chess recently, and you have a lot of games that end up in draws. In that situation, Ruben Bain just like fucking flips the board over and dumps all the pieces on the ground because he just turns draws into wins. Like he'll get stalemated occasionally, he'll get tangled up because of the short arms, and his legs are just stronger than your entire body by themselves, and he walks guys back with a lethal second effort ability. And lastly, like can just talk about Ruben Bain's power profile all day.
Entire pod, 2 hours.
If you've played Madden, you probably know that incredibly annoying animation where you're hanging in the pocket and you're doing fine, and then you get grabbed through your offensive tackle and you can't move anymore. That's the Ruben animation. Except imagine that also happens twice in the run game. I just gets a handful, you're going backwards, play is over. It's just a unique tackling trait. Like there's being a good arm tackler, and then there is grab and drop. And
If
that
he
is
gets
what
a
Ruben
bite
Bain
of your
does.
jersey, it's over. Yeah,
You're
it's
done.
insane. He is so weird.
The reason that I'm lower on Ruben Bain than consensus is because I don't ever think he's going to be an NFL sack machine. Like comparing his
Fair.
production at the college level to a guy like David Bailey. Bailey has this season 38 combined sacks and hits. Ruben Bain has, I believe, 15. Yeah, he had 15 in 2 more games. The pressure accumulation is absolutely going to be there. It's just between the athleticism, which is fantastic for a guy his size, but relative to everybody else, a lot closer to average, and the really marginal arm length. I think you're looking at like 5% worse Jared Verse. So
I think
just
it's
a
fair.
fantastic football player, but like fringe top 10 in the average class. In this class, take him in the top 10. No doubt about it.
Yeah,
He
easy.
going to accumulate disruption and destruction for your football team. 3 downs, just an absolute pain to play against. Love me some Ruben May Jr.
He's just such a dog. He's like that guy that you were talking about. A draw ends up a win for him. It's like he's going for like a 600-pound squat. It's like the guy going for a squat PR, like a 405 squat PR, and then he fails. It's like, ah, shit, I failed. All right, okay, well, there's no safety. Oh shit, there's no safety racks. Oh, I just got to push it up and re-rack it, I guess. So he fails, and then he just, oh no, I failed. Now I gotta just get right back up and try it again.
Yep.
Damn, I failed the rep. Now let me do the rep real quick. We'll get back to going. You know, it's the bench where you pause it in the body. Damn it. Well, now I got to re-rack it and try again. Well, he's that guy. You know what? No matter what, he always wins in the end. No,
He finds a way.
I think it's very clear these are the top two edge rushers in this class. Nobody really has any doubt about that. Bain and Bailey. These are just two studs, two guys you're pretty sure are going to be quality starters at the very least in the NFL. Both have potential to be perennial Pro Bowlers, all pros kind of guys whose effect is felt in more than just the numbers, but obviously the numbers will be pretty damn good as well. I'm in love with both of them clearly, and I'm glad one of us likes one more than the other, so we get a little bit of diverse opinion, right? Why he may not be this top 5 prospect that everybody loves, or why he definitely is. You know, so it's always nice. And we also got our little takes in there. You know, we got Derek Moore in the top 3, Gabe Akis in the top 4. We got some fun stuff too.
I think that was a great episode. I think this
Oh yeah,
is the most prospects that we have covered in a top 10 positional breakdown so far. Talked about probably 16-ish guys, maybe more.
yeah, and it's gonna be a long episode. So if you stuck with us this far, very much appreciate you. If you like the content, feel free to drop a like. I mean, for like, I know you hear everybody say that, but for channels like ours with 39 subscribers, one like really does push out like it to twice as many people. If we get one like, twice as many people see the video as normal. So it really does help quite a bit. And if you want to see more of our content, subscribe. Of course, if you don't subscribe. We don't control you. Just do it if you want to. But we'd appreciate it.
Respect our opinion or not, blood, sweat, and tears going into these episodes.
Yep.
It's a pleasure every time though. It's what we love doing.
It really is. I'm glad we get to do this. It's very fun, even if it is quite a bit of work. You know what? I haven't done schoolwork in weeks.
So last night, in the episode that wasn't, I was biting my nails a little bit, getting a little bit nervous because I had an essay that was due at midnight. And so I was thinking, okay, there's time for this episode, but it's going to be a little bit of a free for all when we get out of here at, I don't remember what time we tried to record, but probably like 8, 9 o'clock, we'd be wrapping up the podcast. And then when we had to push the pod out to today, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to finish this easily. So I'm chipping away at it. I get like 2/3 done with it. And then I close my computer, as one does, and it does this weird thing where sometimes it just decides to shut down. And lo and behold, I learned that autosave is not turned on by default in Microsoft Word.
Oh no.
So the essay wound up getting submitted at about 1:45 this morning. I could say last night, but technically this morning, 1:45 a.m. So that was rough, but I would rather be podcasting is what I'm getting at here. But we're trying
Reasonable sacrifice.
we're trying to battle this stuff out through schoolwork, blood, sweat, and tears. But Feel like we get better every episode. Feel like every like group of prospects we do, we get better at evaluating that position group. So it's
I
been a
definitely
pleasure being
agree.
on with you tonight.
It really, I think this has been one of our best episodes. I really do. It's been a pleasure, Elson. And the thing about us is, yes, we don't have the time to get to as many prospects as like, we're not going to get to 400 prospects over that. We'll be lucky to get to 150, 200, right? I think I've maybe got, I don't know how many I've got logged. It can't be that much more than 100, if even 100, right? But the quality of the analysis is also, it's improving. I think it's pretty good. I think we're getting a lot of it. We can put more time into the guys that we want to talk about. Obviously, you saw the hour number when you clicked on the episode. You can see how much time we're putting into this. So appreciate you sticking around. It's been a blast talking about edge rushers. This is one of my favorite positions to do, and I don't think this will be our last positional ranking, but it might be our second to last one. There's not that much time left before the draft. A few weeks.
It's really creeping up. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we
The
still got
cycle
our.
just flies by.
It really does. Everybody, you can tell the difference between a true film grinder and like an average draft enjoyer, because the average draft enjoyer is always like, oh, please let the draft come tomorrow, and the film watch like, can we push it back a couple of months? I still got like a seventh rounder to get to. I still got a lot of guys I want to watch. And when I was first getting into the draft, I was like, yes, the draft cannot come soon enough. Now I'm like, this is coming too soon. I still got too many guys I want to watch. But it's fun. I mean, the draft's gonna be super fun. We got a lot of great stuff on the horizon. We're gonna do our My Guys episode. Last year that was 3.5 hours. This year,
Who
I think
knows?
it'll probably be longer. So still got our mock draft, another mock draft to do. Maybe we got more stuff. Who knows? We'll see.
If you've got any feedback for us, anything you want to see in these episodes, leave that in the comments. But Victor, if you've got nothing else for tonight,
No, I mean, if you want us to do a specific position for top tens, if you have a request for our last top 10, put it in the comments, and we might be able to do that one. That'll be our choice, because we haven't decided yet.
absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, stay hard.